Hello friends, the time has finally arrived. As promised, in celebration and/or punishment for reaching 100 patrons on my Patreon, I will be embarking on a misguided quest to watch and rank a bunch of direct-to-video Disney sequels. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who's pledged and chosen to support me, even if it was only to put me through what is objectively hell on earth. As you can tell from the runtime, this took a long time and I worked really hard on it, so I hope you enjoy, and if you'd like to toss some support my way, patreon.com/regularpat is the place to go. Just a couple bucks a month goes a long way in helping me continue my ill-advised efforts. At 150 patrons, I think I'm angling to do something entirely focused on Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2 if you're interested in me covering that. Some brief notes before we get started. I think nobody is going to be satisfied with the selection of movies I watched for this project. When I say every direct-to-video Disney sequel, I'm just going off of a category on Wikipedia that spans from Return of Jafar to The Little Mermaid, Ariel's beginning. This means no theatrical releases like Peter Pan 2 or Jungle Book 2, no Winnie the Pooh or Tinkerbell movies, thank God, and nothing based on TV shows like Recess. I don't entirely understand why some movies are in this category and some aren't, but I'm sticking to it for the sake of my sanity. Next, in the interest of both time and making it a little more fun, I watched all of these movies at a heightened speed, typically anywhere from 2 to 3x, although slowing it down to normal speed anytime there was a song. I also may or may not have been drinking for most of these. Not all of them, but most of them. That'll be a fun game within the video. Guess which times I'm drunk, or sleep-deprived, or sad, or all three. I'm always at least one. You can also expect the format to be a bit inconsistent between films. Sometimes I recorded thoughts as I was watching, some of them I watched with friends, and some I only talk about after the movie's over. Lastly, given the aforementioned wrinkles in the project, I would advise you to not take it too seriously if I put your favorite childhood movie low, because I didn't actually give any of them a fair, sober, unsped-up chance. It's just meant to be a showcase of my experience doing this thing that nobody asked me to do. So I won't bore you with some exposition about the history of direct-to-video Disney releases. Long story short, between 1994 and 2008, Disney realized they could pump out sequels to their cherished classics while putting in half the effort, or less, and people would still eat them up. Which brings us to 2022, where I'm about to eat all of them. Take it away, Gilbert.
Neg, it's all he ever does!
Okay, first impressions, what's wrong with me, basically. Two angles to that. What is wrong with me for committing to doing this? Because I just finished this literally 10 seconds ago, and this is one of the better ones, and it was really difficult to get through. But also, what's wrong with me from the angle of, I loved this movie as a kid. I would watch this way more often than Aladdin 1 or 3, both of which are leagues better than Return of Jafar. I guess because, like, it's supposed to be like a backdoor TV pilot for, like, the Aladdin show, and you can definitely see it going through the motions of that throughout the runtime. And maybe that's why I liked it, because I definitely watched more television as a kid, as opposed to movies. But, you know, watching it now, like, it's so obviously cheaper, but as a kid, you don't even really notice, at least dumbass me didn't notice how much worse the animation and the voice work is. Yeah, every single character. Gilbert Gottfried as Iago gets 2 songs. Who was in charge of that? Who decided that we needed to hear Gilbert sing twice? Like, he gets his own song in the beginning, and he has, like, a duet with Jasmine. Like, he sings more than both Jasmine and Aladdin. You hear Gilbert sing more often than both of the main leads. Genie is like a shell of his former self. It's really sad to see. I mean, obviously, he's not Robin in this. He's Dan Castellaneta, but just, like, he's constantly doing a bit, whereas I haven't seen OG Aladdin in a long time, but he's not always doing, like, a reference or, like, stretching into some silly kind of cartoon thing. He's just, like, a lot. I really can't stand him. Highlights are actually Jafar and the Jason Alexander Mook guy. You know, if you've played Cage 2, you might know how it goes, although it really is a loose adaptation of Return of Jafar. Like, in this movie is like the Iago movie, but basically Jafar is freed from the lamp. He's a genie now, so he's more powerful. He's going through the motions of trying to, you know, get in control of Agrabah and kill Aladdin. Aladdin comes very close to being beheaded, like... Aladdin comes very close to being beheaded. He's like one sword swipe away from that before Genie Ex Machina comes in and saves him. But, like, there is so much screen time spent on Iago, and I totally forgot how much he got. But I do think, like, Jafar gets a song, and he doesn't get a song in the official original movie. Like, there's a cut song that he has called Why Me, and I really like that. But in the original movie, he just gets like the Prince Ali reprise. But in this, he gets this "You're Only Second Rate" song, which I definitely liked as a kid, and I still kind of like it now. Jafar is obviously not as intimidating as he was in the original. Like, he morphs into a grandmother and says, "Granny's gonna get ya," which definitely docks some points in the intimidation column. But I don't know, like, he's a fun villain. If you can get through, like, Iago constantly squawking and being the way that he is, I think you might enjoy Return of Jafar, at least more than most of what's left. And that's really the kicker here, is that we have a lot to get through, and I know that there's so many movies that are so much worse than this, and I had trouble with this one, and yet I'm still pretty confident it's going to be like top third. Initial reaction to this one, just before I even get started on it, there's one of those Disney Plus, hey, just so you know, some pretty bad shit in this one, not really super racially appropriate. Curious to see just how offensive King of Thieves gets. I wonder if it's on the original Aladdin. It probably is, but I don't know. Just stopping down to comment on, there's a scene about a third of the way through the movie where Iago's tail feathers are stripped clean, and you can see like a skin nub coming from Iago's ass, and I really don't like that. That's my main complaint so far. I've been enjoying myself pretty decently up to this point, but this is maybe a -2 point moment. Oh, I found it. The racially insensitive thing. It's this Italian stereotype. That's gotta be what they're talking about. It's kind of crazy how often Aladdin is, like, at risk of being in trouble with the law of Agrabah, because, like, it's very optimistic to think that the boyfriend of the daughter of the Sultan or any type of ruler would ever really be in danger of facing legal consequences. This happens in, like, all 3 movies, pretty much. Like, he always is, like, at risk of being in trouble for these things, but, I mean, he always gets away with it, so I guess it is true to life. Okay, as expected, I mean, that was definitely an upgrade from Return of Jafar. As a kid, it was my least favorite of the Aladdin trilogy. It still has all of, like, the made-for-TV sensibilities, like, but I think everything's a little bit better. You know, the animation does seem a little bit better. Feels like the characters all have, like, more stuff to do, whereas, like, Iago was... I think Iago was literally the #1 credit on Return of Jafar, whereas it felt like it's actually like an Aladdin movie, like it's Aladdin and his relationship with his father, like that's the whole crux of it. It's very reminiscent of like the Treasure Planet, John Silver and Jim relationship. Basically, Aladdin's finally getting married to Jasmine. There's a whole musical number about it. All the songs are better too, by the way. I found some of them to be kind of catchy. His dad is the titular King of Thieves. He shows up to the wedding. He fights Aladdin a little bit. Aladdin, like, finds this scepter that has the oracle in it, which is like a bodega version of the genie. Like, it doesn't grant wishes, it answers questions, but only one question, so it's like way worse than the genie, and the genie just hangs out with Aladdin and never really offers to do anything useful. I mean, like, I know he's probably spent like an eternity in servitude, but you know how in KH1 he's like, yeah, I'll do a favor for you. He really doesn't do that in these movies, and if he does, I'm missing it, so I apologize if I've missed it. And like, Robin Williams is back to be Genie, and it's fine, but I do think he's like a little bit much. I can't believe that I'm saying it, but I find Iago to be like a more palatable sense of comic relief. Genie is just like constant, and it can be a little bit grating. He does reference like basically half of the animated canon throughout the movie though. But then Aladdin uses his question on trying to find his dad, and he gets reunited with him, and he just like abandoned him as a kid, and it was like a misunderstanding, and it's pretty predictable. The dad is like half in on trying to get the treasure and half in on like having the relationship with Aladdin. And there's like a misunderstanding, and they're upset at each other halfway through the movie, but then everything comes together at the final battle sequence, which is pretty sick, by the way. The villain is not very memorable. Like, you can't really beat Jafar even in the second movie. Like, I still think Jafar in 2 is better than Saluk, I think is the name of the guy, in 3. But the way the villain goes out and that whole final sequence is literally pretty fucking metal. I think this might be like chalk pick for most people's favorite, or just the overall best Disney direct-to-DVD movie. Maybe some other sleeper hits out there.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
So, Beauty and the Beast, The Enchanted Christmas, I think was actually way better than I thought it was gonna be, which it might be surprising for people to hear. I always remember hearing that the Beauty and the Beast ones were like bad, and I still have another one to get through. But I expected this to be like the clear third best or most worst out of all of the ones I've watched so far. But like, I kind of liked it. And it could be because I watched this one with some friends in a Discord call, but like, you know, I'm not saying that it's a good movie or that I would rather watch it over like the original Beauty and the Beast, but it felt more movie-like than the first two Aladdin ones. It still had like obviously a downgrade in like, you know, animation quality and everything, but it looked and felt more like a movie, just like a Christmas special. Whereas the other two were like long TV episodes. This felt like, you know, a made-for-TV still, but like a Christmas special. And I'm a sucker for Christmas, so maybe that's why I kind of was not as hard on this one. Basically, it takes place like during the, you know, off-screen moments of the original Beauty and the Beast movie around Christmas. I thought I had never seen this movie as a kid, but then when I saw the big pipe organ villain guy, I had like a very bad, like the opposite of the Ratatouille critic moment, where like I realized that I was haunted by this character when I watched this at my grandma's house. That, and also like the little French angel character. And there were a lot of questions that I had about this movie, like what happened to a lot of these characters. The French angel ornament lady leads like this platoon of like glass sphere ornaments, and I can't tell if the ornaments are like just enchanted objects or if they also used to be people. I would think that only things with faces used to be people because the Ottoman is a dog. So I don't know if like the ornaments are rats and she's like king of the rats, or if they're just like magical ornaments. But basically, the big pipe organ guy wants Beast to stay a beast. I think he likes being a pipe organ. Like, he feels very codependent on Beast. Like, he likes that he's his confidant, which he never mentions in original Beauty and the Beast, obviously. But the pipe organ guy, Mr. Forte, views Beast as, like, his best friend. And I don't know if I'm reaching here, but my friends and I kind of thought that maybe they pulled from this movie for, like, Cage 2 Zalden, because when you look at how Zalden acts in Cage 2 and the Beast Castle trips, he's not really pulling from Gaston. And then when I was watching this pipe organ guy like encourage Beast to like give up on love and like boo fuck Christmas and Belle is whatever, it kind of reminded me of Zalden. Like, he wanted Beast to like get rid of the rose and everything. So I don't know, they might have watched this Beauty and the Beast sequel and, you know, and maybe wrote some stuff for Zalden inspired by this. And I don't know, like the colors just seemed nicer. Like, it was just a more pleasant movie to look at. I think it might be my favorite out of the three, which is crazy. There was actually a really cool sequence where a Christmas tree tried to kill Belle by dragging her into freezing water, and the Beast saves her, and it's like really cool. I was very struck by the ending where Beast rips out, spoilers, rips out like the heart of the organ guy, and I think just kills him. And he was a human person before the curse happened, and he's not there in the present day when they shift back to the present when it's Christmas again. His little Iago lackey Fife is around, but the organ guy is nowhere to be seen. So Beast just like killed the guy. And this wasn't like an accident with Gaston. Like, he like ripped a thing out and threw it at him, and then the organ guy fell over and didn't move, and you never saw him again. And it was like a pretty cool sequence, actually. Like, I think it was even a cooler sequence than the whole Saluk Midas's hand part of Aladdin 3. So, and there were like a bunch of songs that you don't really remember at all when they're done, but I also thought Beast and Belle were like pretty true to their original characters. Like, Aladdin and Jasmine just felt kind of like whatever, but these two, like, I was like, oh yeah, this is Belle from the original movie, and this is Beast from the original movie, whereas the other two were just like the TV versions of those characters, if that makes sense. Not that any of them are particularly deep, but I felt like more of a continuity with Beast and Belle here. So I guess tentatively I have Beauty and the Beast 2, The Enchanted Christmas, at number 1 on the list.
A magical place with magical charms.
I mean, we have it sped up, obviously, but like, this is several frames of her face being like, I mean, let's turn it back down all the way. Oh man, why would they do that with her eyes? Beast dies, the cannon is altered. This is the flash sideways. This is way funnier than the Christmas movie, unintentionally. I killed my organ, so now I've captured this bird to sing for me. There's no way this bird makes it out alive. Oh man, that was rough. This is clearly a huge downgrade. Some of these movies are basically backdoor pilots like the Aladdin one was. The drop-off in animation is astounding. Like, you have Beauty and the Beast up here, and then, like, you know, a big drop-off to the Christmas one, and then it's like, it fucking plummets. This movie looks like shit. and it's really not a movie. It's 3 episodes of a TV show that never ended up existing, at least as far as I know. Like, there's this part here where there's like a bug crawling on the bookshelf, or like it's like a stray animation particle. I don't know what you would call this. I don't know why the movie looks like this. Either this is how it always looked, or like the Disney Plus people like ripped it straight from the original VHS tape and just said fuck it and put it up. It looks so bad. Beast is so annoying. There's 3 episodes basically. I couldn't even tell you what happened in the first one. I guess there was like Beast and Belle had a fight and they were arguing over who was going to apologize first. Beast is just constantly bitching, and I was gonna say all of these, but he doesn't even appear in the second episode. I mean, it is called Belle's Magical World, so she really takes center stage for these, and Beast is nowhere to be seen for like a third of the movie. I think the second one is probably the best. It's called Fifi's Folly, and well, I disagree with the premise, not to make this a racial thing, but I don't think candles and dusters should date. I feel like that's a recipe for disaster. Lumiere is like in love with this broom, this dust broom thing named Fifi. The whole plot of this is that Lumiere and Fifi's anniversary is coming up, which really calls into question, like, because this is happening after the Christmas movie, I presume, and Lumiere was clearly trying to f the Christmas ornament lady, and also the big chandelier from the episode prior, who I guess we just never saw in any of the other movies because she was too high up and out of frame. But the whole thing is that before Lumiere and the broom can go on their anniversary date, Fifi overhears Lumiere talking to Belle, and she thinks that Lumiere is trying to f Belle, the only character that he's not trying to f. So hijinks ensue. There's a part where like they almost careen off a cliff to their death, and Lumiere like accepts it. She's like, "What do we do?" And he's like, "Die, I guess. I don't want to be in any more of this shitty made-for-TV movie video thing." I have to say, like, even though this is by far, like, far and away the worst of the movies so far, like, way worse than Return of Jafar, it's very unintentionally funny, and that might be because we have the speed jacked up here. But the third episode, A Broken Wing, I mean, it's just, like, the premise is so bare, and there's nothing there. Like, Belle finds a bird. Beast doesn't like birds, so he freaks out when he finds out that she's taking care of the bird. One of my only notes for this movie is that the wardrobe is really into bird play. And had I not recorded this immediately after, I probably would have forgotten what that meant, but there's like a sequence where the bird like goes inside the drawer and she like really is into it, I think. Also, like, Lumiere and Cogsworth are like in command of like this big cutlery army, and it's so unclear like who's allowed to have a face in these, because they imply that the forks and knives are children, but they don't have faces. So I don't know who gets to have a face or get to talk in under the enchantment rules. So Beast finds out that Belle has been hiding this bird and taking care of it after it broke its wing, but then Beast is like really into the bird and wants to take care of it and have the bird be his and sing to him because he killed the last thing that made music for him in the last movie. It actually is genuinely amusing to watch Beast be so invested in the bird, probably because it's on like 3x. So I never want to watch this again. Like, I could pull myself through the other 3 movies, but this was just like really a slog. Unintentionally funny in some spots, but just kind of a drag to look at, and overall very annoying.
It's Disney favorite John Smith.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack with something like Pocahontas and Pocahontas II. If you couldn't tell just from the general discourse of the past couple hundred years. I'm not really going to get into that, aside from, like, yeah, we could comment on how there's literally, like, a whole sequence where she, like, you know, they whiteify Pocahontas. And then she has like a Mulan moment where it washes off. From what I can tell, and this is, I believe, one of the shortest movies that I have to watch for this. I mean, get to watch for this. Well, I should first state that I did not get all the way through the first Pocahontas movie. I tried getting through the entire traditional Disney canon back in 2020, and I made it all the way up to Pocahontas, and I was so fucking bored that I stopped watching. I'm assuming things didn't end great, but from what I could tell, Pocahontas was in America still when the movie started, and John Smith was in England, and then he supposedly dies. He totally doesn't, obviously. You can tell because you don't see a body. I was shocked to see that the villain was still around. I would have thought that the villain was either killed or like put in jail forever back in the first movie, but he's just like walking around free. So I don't know what happened, but the laws in England are not that strict, I guess, in the 1600s. The King and Queen of England want to meet the chief of Pocahontas' tribe, and I'm kind of confused. This may be the speed, not the drug, the rate at which the movie was going. I guess Pocahontas went in place of the chief, or maybe I think they thought the actual chief was coming and he didn't want to, so Pocahontas went instead, and they were like, bah, she's not the chief, she's a woman. And they got all upset. And, well, first of all, she falls in love with this other guy, John Rolfe, who is the ancestor of James Rolfe. And I know, like, that was the actual guy's name in real life. This movie is, like, a bit more historically accurate than the first one, but they should have just taken creative liberties and named him something else, because you have two Johns running around, and it's just kind of dumb. God, what then happened? There's, like, a whole spooky musical number at a dinner, and there's, like, a bunch of weird jester characters, and Governor Radcliffe is there. I have to look at the Wikipedia page for this. I have no idea what the fuck I watched. Oh, right. So there's like Chekhov's bear. You see this bear early on when Pocahontas arrives in London, and I'm like, that bear better come into play. And sure enough, at the party, they are like doing this bear baiting thing where they are just like being mean to this bear, and Pocahontas is like, you are the true savages, which, yeah, it's rude to do that to a bear, but it's also like, from my understanding, the entire first movie again, the whole thing is like, no, you are the savage, which, fair enough. So they put Pocahontas in jail, and she gets broken out by John Smith. That's how he reveals that he's alive. And what I remember of the half of Pocahontas 1 that I watched, John Smith was like a very blandman. But he was kind of fun and funny in this movie. You know what I didn't care for is, like, there's like 4 sidekick characters in this, and I'm never interested in any like mute animal sidekick character in anything. I know it's like for the kids, Pocahontas 2 might not be my movie. I might not be the target demographic, but Pocahontas somehow starts the movie off with like 3 animal sidekicks. Like, she got all 3 starter Pokemon. They go on their own hijinks and they get like drunk in the ship. That was kind of fun. And I was thinking that they were like teasing a throuple thing with Pocahontas and Rolfe and what was the other one? Smith. It was Poca Smith Rolfe, but no, she just like, I guess, decides that John Smith is not fit to be her boyf because he was dead for a bit, or faked his death, or appeared to be dead, and she fell in love with John Rolfe. And they do like the reverse Tarzan and Jane, where it seems like Pocahontas is gonna leave and John Rolfe's gonna stay, but he actually sneaks onto the boat and goes back to America with her. But Pocahontas's sidekick from her tribe that went along with her to London stays in London with the aunt character, who's kind of fun. Also, Billy Zane is John Rolfe, which I didn't realize until halfway through the movie. That was fun to figure out. I have to say, though, I felt like nothing happened in this movie. The best thing, I think, was actually the food always looks really good. There were these big berry buckets in the beginning, and I really wanted to eat those berries. And then the aunt makes some sandwiches later, these little sandwich squares, and I really wanted to eat those sandwiches. Best looking movie so far out of the group. Obviously, it's, you know, again, not going to hold a candle to the original Pocahontas, but out of the 5 other Disney sequels that I've watched so far, 4, this was the best looking one so far. Huge step up from Belle's Enchanted Magic Land. I already forgot the name of that movie. But it was very boring. Like, I didn't really care about anything that was happening. Maybe that's just because I didn't care for Pocahontas 1. So I guess I put it probably, I think I'd rather watch Return of Jafar, even just for the Jafar scenes. I think Jafar is still way more fun as a villain than, like, Governor Radcliffe. So I think we'll put it, like, second from the bottom. 1 above Belle's Enchanted Land, and 1 below Return of Jafar. Yo, it's still so good. That gave me chills. I'm already gonna say, fuck anybody who thinks Aladdin 3 is better than this. What's with the bedroom eyes on Simba? Let me see you pendage. No, Daddy, you pendy. It's totally different. You think Simba is like, well, we can't kill that zebra because he's like a really good tenor and we might need him for a song later. Yeah, I mean, Lion King 2 is the best one. I remember like going into this thinking, I know some people say like Aladdin 3 might be the best, or Cinderella 3. I still have to get to the latter, obviously, but like Lion King 2 blows everything I've watched out of the water so far. I felt like this one that was actually trying to say something. Not that it's like a huge grand sweeping statement, or like that any of the Disney movies have something like hugely, you know, important to say, but, and obviously Lion King 1 is Hamlet and this is Romeo and Juliet, everybody knows that. Whereas the other movies have felt like, alright, we have these characters, we're just gonna like do more with them. It felt like a story was continuing here. Like, it feels like a movie sequel. It definitely feels the most cinematic out of all the ones I've watched so far. Looks the best. I know I've said that like 3 times now, but this one is the best one so far, artistically at least. And I think quality-wise, I mean, I think they got most of the original voice actors back. I think the only person they didn't get was like Zazu, and he didn't really have anything to do in the movie movie anyway. And it's got cool callbacks to the first film. Like, the songs are all genuinely pretty good. The only one that I thought was kind of a miss was the Kiara and Kovu one, like the very last song there is, besides like in the instrumental credits. I had no memory of that one. The Simba one was kind of hazy in my memory, but like the opening number, which is from the original Lion King musical, that's great. The Upendi song, that's a bop. That's like a much more fun and bouncy Can You Feel the Love Tonight? I know it's like sacrilege to say, but I'd rather listen to that like 100 times before I listen to Can You Feel the Love Tonight once. It's boring. The fucking rejection disgrace song when Kovu gets exiled, that one's so good. The villain song, oh my, I always love the villain songs in Disney movies, and Zira's lullaby song is so cool. It has the visual callback at the end to Be Prepared when they're like all on the termite hill. The whole area where the outcast lions live, the Badland, the outskirts, whatever, it's so cool to look at. I think just visually it's really cool. And like Simba is like kind of a dumb, stubborn dickhead in this movie, and he has to like kind of relearn the lesson and the message again about like letting go of the past. Like in Lion King 1, he like can't let go of everything that happened with his dad, and then he finally gets over it and becomes the king of Pride Lands. And in this movie, he can't let go of like the outsiders and like the rebellion, you know, and then he has to like relearn to like forgive and forget and like move on and try to rebuild the kingdom. And it just felt like it was like continuing the first movie. I just think it was like actually genuinely pleasant. I would watch it again. It's been probably since I was a young child since I had watched it, and I had hazy but fond memories of it, and they were all reestablished. I really like this one. And Andy Dick Lion is actually really fun, like, and he dies pretty brutally like in the third act. And Zira is a great villain. Timon and Pumbaa are still pretty funny. They're not like constantly on like Genie in the Aladdin movies. They're not boring like the Pocahontas sidekicks, and they're not like intrusive. Like they get just enough time. Rafiki gets a little moment. Nala kind of gets shafted, like she doesn't really have anything to do. Is anyone gonna talk about how like Simba has definitely f***ed a bunch of other lions, because there's no other male lions besides him and Scar is dead, and there's Andy Dick and Kovu, as PJ says. I think Andy Dick might be interested in a different kind of pride, so I don't know if he's really repopulating the Pride Lands after the famine. I don't think I'm surprising anybody when I say this is at the top of the list, above the Enchanted Christmas, then King of Thieves. Good songs, fun characters, cool little message, appealing to look at. These are more fun when I have negative things to say, but I'm genuinely pretty fond of this movie, so I would watch it again. Yeah. I fucking love Goofy. Fuck, he's such a good guy. I don't like this Chad. He looks more human than the rest of them. There's like this Chad Goofy character. Like, I guess they're all dogs, right? But like, this guy looks like this. He has less of a dog face than the rest of them. I hope he's persecuted for it. Bradley Uppercrust III, Esquire. First of my name, ruler of the Andals and the First Men. The Unchained Dragon Woman. Basically, the plot is that Goofy's son Max is going to college. And Goofy's like, oh man, I'm gonna miss my little Maxie. And then he goes and he's gonna compete in the X Games, or the Kai Games, so the meaning is the same. And there's like this, I don't want to say hot poet lady, because that would imply a lot about me, but Goofy went to college in the 70s, but he was around in the 20s or the 30s, right? So Goofy just ruins Max's whole vibe by like showing up and also going to school at the same time and being just all lame and goofy, even though that would be sick. God, me and regular Dag just fucking it up and then showed a psych, that would have been the best. We would have run that shit. Love my dad. So Max thinks that Goofy is going to be such a detriment to have on his team that he is like, actually Dad, the Upper Crust team they really need your help. So he like tries to sabotage them by sending his lame dad, but I already know that Goofy's a fucking killer skateboarder. I hate how much I'm into the poet dog. She's just lines on paper, that's all she is. What a surprise, Goofy fucking goofs it up and is so good at skateboarding. Oh, Max is tripping and he sucks? Fuck Max, you know what? I'm always Team Goofy when it comes to Max and Goofy related things. Goofy always trumps his shitty, rude son who doesn't understand the love of a father. Pete's like, who needs an education? You can just play horseshoes and grill like a dirty centrist. Max and Goofy are both depressed for different reasons. This is the sad part of the movie. Goofy got kicked out of the Gammas for his dick was too big, they said. It's good that the villain gets humiliated and hurt. That should happen, at the least. Instead of being Governor Radcliffe, just get like a slap on the wrist. Oh, you get to go do evil shit in London whenever you want. This guy at least got a wedgie and thrown into a blimp, which is good. And they did manage to fit in Max's friend eating some cheese-related food, which is good. And Goofy gets the MILF dog, right? I mean, hypothetically, if I were into that. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't have as much heart as the original Goofy movie. Not that either of them are, like, masterpieces. I think we'd be kidding ourselves to say that about either of them. But, like, this wasn't also... It wasn't trying to pretend to be something that it's never going to be. You know what I mean? Like, whereas I feel like the Aladdin sequels were like, oh, we're gonna be, like, this worthy successor to the Aladdin original 1992 movie. Extremely Goofy movie is, like, literally, it's gonna be a Goofy movie, except there's gonna be skateboarding, and it's gonna be kind of a retread. It's gonna be, like, you know, father and son learning that they love each other and they need each other. Max is kind of a dick. But it wasn't painful to sit through. Like, it felt like a made-for-TV movie, which it pretty much was, except it just went to VHS, and it had fun visuals. The characters were nice and rootable. If I were to rate it by how extreme it was, you know, it doesn't really get extreme until maybe, like, halfway through the movie, if that. I'd probably give it a solid 7 on the extremometer. I think it's probably second. I think I probably still have, Lion King 2 above it, but extremely Goofy movie, extremely good time. No, you know, it's a fairly good time, but you know, it's not as good of a thing to say.
Pleased to meet you. What you doing in my waters?
Full disclosure, before we go into Little Mermaid 2, I watched it way more times than the original, and also apparently it contains tobacco depictions. I know that it's not as good of a movie as the original one, but like, my grandma had it at VHS, so I would probably watch it when I was sleeping over at her house, and we didn't have the original one. I mean, maybe it's not as bad as you might think, or maybe it's actually trash. But basically, Ariel's lame, and she has legs. She has a daughter, and like basically Ariel's the King Triton, and Melody, something like that, is the Ariel. She wants to go to the sea. It's a reverse, you see. Ariel wanted to go to the land. Melody wants to go to the sea. Ariel's kind of like an urban legend of the ocean, I think, but she's kind of lost her roots. She's just like a washed out like 80s hairband rock star, and now Melody's like the new kid on the block, you know? We're in the year 2000 now, baby. The future. But Melody's birth was sanctioned by the ocean. And Ursula has a skinny sister who's voiced by Pat Carroll again, but she's skinny this time. What happened to Flounder? Wait, is he supposed to be an adult now? I gotta get my eyes back on that chunky, deep-voiced Flounder. What is going on with him? He's like a fish with a full mortgage now. And now there's a great big wall around Ariel's town, wherever she lives in fucking Dutchland. Morgana has like mommy issues basically, because her mom that we've never seen liked Ursula a lot more. It's crazy to think of like Ursula's mom as a character in the Little Mermaid lore. Basically, the plot is Melody is like, in all ways except physical, I am a fish. Blub! I wanna be where the fishes are. I wanna see them blubbing, swimming around with those. What's the fucking thing? Fin. At least Ariel's upgraded from using a dingle hopper to a brush, like an uninformed savage, dare I say. Savages, barely even human. Savages, they think forks are brushes. They're not like you and me, which means they must be fishes. I do love the whole sequence of Sebastian biting the little mini Prince Charming and ruining the birthday cake. It was all very visually amusing to me. Sometimes I feel like the Princess of Disaster. It's Atlantica, with the Dick Tower and all. These movies are too long. They're like never any more than like 80 minutes, and they're still too long. Nobody told Melody about how Morgana is the sister of an evil sea witch. Like, I know they're trying to like hide the whole ocean thing from her, but like, maybe for the sake of her life, you warn her about like the lady who tried to kidnap her and ruin everything on the day of her birth, or her fish christening, or whatever the fuck it was. Ariel's going fisho mode again. She's returning to her roots so she can ground her punk-ass daughter. Literally put her on the ground. It's just like, it's one of those movies where you know, like, God, if a parent would just talk to their child, then the movie would be over. So it's a little frustrating to watch as an adult, knowing how key communication is, how many Shakespearean tragedies could be avoided if parents would just simply speak with child. Hey, little Jimmy, what's going on at school? You want to be a fish? Let's talk about that. One of the main parts I remember of this movie is Melody, like, stranded in the Arctic area with the penguin and walruses, and they start introducing a bunch of characters, like, way late in the movie. Oh, right, the penguin and the walrus are, like, the Timon and... We get Timon and Pumbaa of the sea. And now we have another song. We got like a 5-minute layover between songs after like half an hour of no songs. Now the penguin is singing a song. And fuck me running if I'll remember the name of the penguin, because I will not. Wait, does Melody really give the trident to Morgana instead of her mom? She's your fucking mother. She is your mother! Fucking Daddy Eric is back with his big boat. You can't solve the problem again by stabbing a lady in the boob with your boat, Eric. Silly Bill. Eric gets to interact with his daughter for the first time. We are an hour and 6 minutes into the movie. We have about 2 minutes until the credits. Good to know that he gives a shit about her. Here's this thing about Little Mermaid 2. Like, it doesn't look as good as a handful of the previous movies that I've just watched. Like, visually, Lion King 2, even extremely goofy movie, definitely Pocahontas 2 looked better. It was pretty blah. You know, I'm very baffled that this was something that I enjoyed a lot as a kid. And, like, with a lot of these other movies, I'm at least able to pick out, like, there's a sea of bad, but there's, like, one part that I enjoyed. Like, I don't even know if there's something like that for this. Like, I kind of like Scuttle. I liked Undertow, the shark guy, the mook shark. The last song was fun. It was a feel-good sort of thing. I do think that the sequence where Melody is turning back into a human while underwater is like genuinely terrifying. Like, I remember having nightmares about that as a kid, so at the very least it had an effect on me. It really is just Little Mermaid but in reverse, and Ariel is, you would think she would know from her experience as someone who had to deal with her sort of authoritarian father that she was being kind of like out of line by keeping Melody from the sea, or at least like not even giving her the full truth about being a mermaid girl. Like, I think the stakes are at least a little bit higher than like Pocahontas 2, so probably third from the bottom. I would say Little Mermaid 2, one below Return of Jafar, one above Pocahontas 2.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own?
I just want to say that I recognize it's about 2 hours later that I praised Lion King 2 for being like, even though it was kind of a retread of the first movie, I was like, oh, it's great, but and then I said that Little Mermaid 2 was like a retread and it was bad because it was like redundant. And yeah, that would make me seem like a hypocrite. But Lion King 2 was just better. It had better songs, the characters were more fun, it was more pretty to look at, and I stand by it. So, yeah.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own?
Lady and the Tramp 2 Scamp's Adventure is a movie.
That's not how it works.
That's probably a little harsh. I mean, it was nice. You know, it was pleasant. It looks fine. I wouldn't say it's like one of the best looking or worst looking ones. It's pretty middle of the road so far. It's very much a vibes movie more than a strictly a plot movie, I would say. It's pretty much exactly what you would expect. Lady and the Tramp, they got a son. Scamp, you know, from the title, it's basically a reversal. Scamp leaves his home life, his nice sheltered home life, and he goes out into the streets. He meets a cool gang of junkyard dogs, and he's like, it's the reverse. You know, it used to be Tramp was the guy who knew all about the streets, but Scamp is the son, and he's got to learn the ways of the street dogs from the lady dog named Angel. And like, he eventually likes being in the streets more than being a home dog because his dad was overprotective and didn't want him to get in trouble or nothing. And then he meets his dad out there in the city, and he's like, you forgot your roots, man, fuck you, you sell out. And they like have a conflict, and it turns out the leader of the junkyard dogs is a bad dog because he has the Scar color scheme, so of course he was. And the leader of the gang is always the bad guy. I do love the junkyard stuff though. Like, anytime there's like a junkyard or like dumpster people, except for The Walking Dead, I always find that to be a very cool and fascinating environment. The song in the junkyard is definitely the best one in the movie. There's a lot of cool, like, visual and cute visual things. Like, if you're a dog person, if you like cute animated dogs, it's a perfectly fine thing. There's a part where Scamp, like, eats a bunch of fireflies. That's really fun, where he gets, like, a dumb old fishbowl stuck on his head. I like that. The finale sequence where there's, like, a fight between the dogs in, like, a barn or something, and there's, like, 4th of July fireworks going off, and you, like, see the flashes of the fireworks. That's neat. But it's very low stakes, you know? And I'll tell you what, it's, like, it's Lady and the Tramp too, but like Lady's got nothing to do with this. Like, the side dogs from the first movie have more going on than Lady does. She's like in the house the whole time. I think she goes to like the picnic for like a brief scene, but she really has very little to do. It's just weird to think about how the original movie is from 1955 and the sequel came out in 2001, and it's just like, I feel like everybody should be dead. Like, I know that's not how animation works, that like obviously characters are immortal, and like even though there's like half a century between the movie's release dates, it wouldn't make sense that anyone would age, but it's just like, it's weird. I feel like those Siamese cats should have been dead by now. Aunt Sarah should be long dead. We should be on like the 7th generation of dogs at this point, but I'm probably gonna slot it between the 2 Aladdin sequels, like above Return of Jafar, but below King of Thieves. It doesn't feel like it's saying something as profound, I guess, if that's appropriate to say, as like the King of Thieves movie. So yeah, right now it's like 5th from the top. I think it's perfectly fine. It's pleasant, but nothing super outstanding.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Cinderella 2, I didn't make my bed for Cinderella 2 because it's Cinderella 2. I don't have a headboard because I'm 25 and single, so probably because of not having a headboard. Maybe it's like kind of feeds into each other. I forgot about fucking Jacques. God damn it. Fairy Godmother's phoning it in with a new verse of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. I am glad that Cinderella at least invited the mice to the castle. Because if it were me, I would have been like, see ya fuckers, I chill with humans now, who don't treat me like shit. You can stay here in this shitty chateau. Oh no, is the whole movie gonna be, I don't know how to be a princess, and then like it's just like a long montage of being taught to be princessly. Even the food in the movie doesn't look good. That's so hard to fuck up, making the animated food look appetizing. I mean, I know the prunes are supposed to look bad, but even this loaf of bread looks fucking boring. I don't want that. Oh, but now Cindy's gonna teach them how it's done, because she knows how to make a castle cool and hip. Oh, that guy just got invited to Smash. Smash Bros. Well, let me be clear, Cindy's committed to Prince Charming. Gus hates prunes. Gus hates prunes. You know, I actually don't hate the song that Cinderella sang as she was, like, getting everything her way in the castle. I didn't hate it. I wanted to, but I didn't. How much movie is left? It's 20 minutes in and I feel like the movie's over. Like, I feel like we have gotten to the end of the movie. So I'm actually very intrigued to see where it's gonna go. Wait, it's one of those. That's why I thought that. It's a fucking Beauty and the Beast, Belle's Enchanted Dimension again. Fucking, it's just gonna be 3 TV episodes for a Cinderella TV show that was never gonna exist, because who the fuck would watch that? At least it's not an hour and 19 minutes of the, oh, I'm not gonna be a princess, and I'm gonna make it my way, but there's pushback against the stuffy old lady, but I know how to do it. But now I have to sit through 2 other micro stories. And this one seems very mouse-centric. Fairy Godmother just fucking sat on Jacques. Like, full-on ass completely enveloped the mouse. I don't even know what to make of that. They turned him into a guy. How is he gonna sound? They turned Jacques into a guy. He still says Zug Zug. No matter what species this fucking guy is, his soul is tainted. It's cursed to be the way that it is. It's always gonna be a shitty Jacques Zug Zug saying guy. I'm pissed. God, I wish the spell would have worked so that if Jacques gets wet, he turns back into a mouse. So when he gets pushed into the water container, he just goes back into mouse form. But then because he's so small, he's a little dumb mouse, he drowns. Does that make sense? How the fuck does Fairy Godmother ever forget that the words, the magic words, is triple B, bibbidi bobbidi boo? She had a whole thing about it. That was like her whole thing. But it's that and being able to transcend dimensions and go to the final world. That's like her 2 things. What are the words again? Oh, don't fuck with us, FG Ma. I do like that the whole punchline of the 2nd episode is like, are you a man or are you a mouse? Because usually you'd be like, oh, I'm a man, I'm a big strong man. I'm courageous and I'm big and I got muscles. But this time it's like being a mouse is helpful because elephants are afraid of mice, and that was the whole conflict at the end of that one. Oh, we get some Tremaine and stepsisters stuff in this one. I guess I didn't expect to see them in this because the cursed carriage killed them. Oh, we're literally getting the Anastasia makeover montage? Like, really, actually. She's in love with the baker. I think all they did, though, was put her hair down and change her dress. Which, I mean, I guess you can't change too much when it's like an animated collection of lines and paint, but I thought maybe she might get like a nose job or a facelift or something. I wonder how old are stepsisters supposed to be, because they could pass for 16 or 53, you know, I don't know. The rules are all topsy-turvy in Cinderella land. I guess Drizella is kind of just like left to fend for herself with her shitty stepmom, because this 3rd episode here just ended with like Cinderella's happy, Anastasia's happy, but Drizella is just like, you know, still stuck with Lady Tremaine. Maybe in 3 she gets a bit more to do. Or maybe, you know what, I'd prefer if she just stays irredeemable and awful, because That's just kind of how life be sometimes. Yeah, well, what exactly would one expect from Cinderella 2? I mean, it's another one of those 3 episodes clearly meant to be a TV show thing. But unlike the Beauty and the Beast one, there was nothing that was like unintentionally hilarious about this. It looks better. It looks fine, I would say. There's not even like, oh, a funny bit or moment, or like, I can't even point out how it looks like someone like left a bug in the animation that's just crawling around. Like, there's no stakes. I don't care about anything that's happening. I know I am not and was never the target demographic for Cinderella 2. I guess if I had to rank the episodes within the movie, I'd probably put the last one at the top. It was kind of fun to see Anastasia be, you know, transformed and learn to be a little bit nicer and get a happy ending. And then it's a real race to the bottom with the Jacques becomes human one, and Cinderella realizes that being a princess is something that she can just do her own way. I guess probably Cinderella-centric episode will be in the middle, and the Jacques-centric one will be at the bottom, because of course it would be, actually, now that I think of it. The thing with Cinderella, though, and I'm sorry to say this, but like what's her thing? You know, like, what is her trait? Because even in all these shitty movies that I've watched so far, and some of them weren't shitty, but every protagonist, like, has a thing, you know? Like, Melody is intrigued and curious about the ocean. Aladdin is like smarmy and mischievous. He does the mischief. Pocahontas had like convictions, you know, and Cinderella doesn't not have convictions, I guess, but like her thing is that she's like nice and she never gives up, I guess, but like all of them are like that, you know, and I just don't know, like, I don't attach to her in any way. Like Scamp even was overconfident, and Belle's whole thing is that she's smart. Like, none of these characters are particularly deep, but they at least have like a thing, and if your thing is just nice, where's the branding, you know? Maybe she'll prove me wrong in Cinderella 3. I hope so. Yeah, I guess it's the worst one. I mean, I really was just so bored, and it was still going so fast, and I was still so bored. Yeah, overall, like, it doesn't have the so bad it's good quality of the Beauty and the Beast 3. It's just bad and boring. So, bottom of the barrel. Sorry, Cinderella 2 stands. Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 is next, which I feel like is the one that somehow should exist the least out of all of these. Just because I imagine, like, Victor Hugo hearing about this movie and saying, Hunchback of Notre Dame, what? Excuse me? Which I guess is the same for, like, Hans Christian Andersen and Little Mermaid 2. Or if, like, Pocahontas the human was like, they made a what? At a huh? This is the shortest one of the bunch, which I'm thrilled to hear. Very curious to see what exact kind of hijinks the whole Hunchback of Notre Dame crew is gonna get into in this perfectly necessary sequel. Oh no, this looks really bad. I really hope this isn't a 3-episode thing, because there's no way anyone possibly thought they were gonna make a Hunchback TV show. Oh man, this looks like it reminds me of like the kind of gross, scratchy era of Disney animation, but like without any of the charm, if that's possible. It looks really bad. I kind of like the Clopin song, or Clopin? Let's go with Clopin, actually. I think I'm a sucker for Clopin. I think he always does a pretty good job. It's no Bells of Notre Dame, but I'm sure there was a worse version of this movie that started with a worse song. Looking on Wikipedia, this was 6 years after the first film. As in, like, canon. It's set in 1488. We let 6 years pass. Which, I don't know why I'm surprised. I guess I just thought we'd be, okay, Frollo dead, and then now it's Tuesday, and we're doing this new story. But we had 6 years. That's a president and a half. That's nuts. Like, I feel like one of the best things, maybe not best things about the first movie, is that, like, it doesn't give it, like, a super clean Disney ending. Like, obviously, it's way, you know, pumped up from the original ending of the actual novel. But, like, Quasimodo doesn't get with a romantic partner. But this movie's like, actually, you know what, though? Even though he is a hunchman who lives in a tower, he too will get love. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve love. I'm just saying we could have just left it and let it be like an example of, you know, maybe a more pragmatic, realistic version of events that might transpire. Am I being mean? But this movie's like, fuck it, everyone needs to date. The gargoyles are gonna start fucking each other. I just think sometimes it's refreshing that someone who wants to be loved doesn't get it, and they're not the villain. Maybe I'm just jealous. Maybe I'm thinking, you know, fuck Quasimodo. He's leaving me behind. I gotta go out by myself, no Quasi coming with me to the bars. This movie looks like shit. It's the shortest movie, and it's still so long. It's still so long, and it's sped up, and I want it to be over. Haley Joel Osment is here, by the way. They're running around the countryside, sniffing weeds, running upstairs. Is the doll supposed to look just like Tinkerbell? Because it does. And Peter Pan should sue. The Lost Boys Corporation should pursue litigation. Does that make sense? Pursue litigation? Pursue? I guess so. I think I nailed that, actually, yeah. Oh, there's like a whole side plot about like Phoebus is like being casually racist about the G word, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. But like 42 minutes in, there's only been 2 scenes about it, so I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to care. I mean, I assure you, if there were 9 scenes about it, I wouldn't care at all. And there's a whole misunderstanding because Quasimodo's GF is like a henchwoman of the villain. Not like a henchwoman, but like an apprentice of sorts. Like she's kind of like indebted to him, like a Meg Hades sort of situation, I guess. But the villain throws her under the bus and says that like the reason all the stuff's been getting stolen from the town is because the henchwoman, or Madame Madeline, has been stealing stuff, even though it's been him. You know, she gets arrested and Quasimodo's like, oh, you were just pretending to like me. And then you have to go through the part of the movie where there's a misunderstanding and no one talks to each other. And it sucks. And I'm eating during this one because I just don't care anymore. Now release the boy. Like, I know you're the captain of the guard or whatever, but if your son is being held hostage, would you really say, release the boy, not my son? Amazing that Madeline's whole final act of heroism involves her walking on a tightrope, and she happens to be a trapeze artist, so pretty nice coincidence that she's able to put her skill set to use there. Everyone's shacking up. Esmeralda and Phoebus, again, I guess. The horses, even, and most surprisingly, Quasimodo and the trapeze walking lady that I've, again, forgotten the name of. Wow, so that sucked hardcore. Oh man, I really don't even know where to put it. I mean, it was really so bad. Just like so soulless, so obviously done to make money, which I know all of them are, but there is soul in some of them, you know? There's a little bit of Joe Gardner in a lot of these movies. This just like fucking blew. Like, I'm upset. I'm not even like that protective or fond of original Hunchback. Like, it's a good movie. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. But, like, it didn't deserve this. A lot of these movies don't deserve any of these sequels, but like, I just feel dirty about this one. I feel as dirty as it looks. It looks gross. I can't stress enough how fucking unappealing it is to look at. Again, it's the shortest one. My time still feels so wasted. It didn't need to even be as long as it was. It could have been like a 20-minute TV episode. At least it wasn't a bunch of TV episodes, I guess. But at the same time, like, fuck you for stretching it out to be 60-ish minutes. It was boring, ugly, predictable. I guess I like Clopin, but none of the main characters I find particularly fun. Like, Quasimodo still is kind of endearing, at least. The villain's moderately entertaining at times, although I don't know his name and I already forget, like, what his whole plot was. I guess I have to put it above Cinderella 2 because it's not a mishmash of episodes that were meant to be used in a TV series. But I think wow, I can't believe that Enchanted Worlds, is that what it is? I can't believe Beauty and the Beast 3 is third from the bottom now. But like, again, that one was so bad. It looked so bad. It was very boring, but it had bits that were like severely entertaining to me, whereas this didn't. So I'm gonna squish this one in between the 2 Princess Tella episode ones. So second from the bottom. You know, I had a hunch this would be a bad one.
I wanna get down lower than Atlantis.
So, Atlantis, Milo returns. I had not seen the original Atlantis, and that wasn't part of the assignment, so I'm not watching it, and it's probably not going to do well because it's a sequel to a movie I haven't seen, but them's the breaks, kids. I've been warned that this one is a 3-episode structure sort of film. The film started in German, I believe, and I was not expecting that, especially moving at like 3x. I was like, what's happening? Did I misclick something? But people just be German. So from what I can discern, Milo, the little nerd boy, is the hero, and he saved and discovered Atlantis. Sounds like the Kraken is the focal point. I do like the little purple gators. They look like Digimon of some kind. There's definitely like cool imagery and stuff, like cool concepts. Like there's a great bit where the little purple lizard guy like bites at some water like your dog when you're like using a garden hose. I like that. A lot of talk about missiles, a lot of missile talk. God, I hope I get this video out before the world ends. There's a shortly portly man who reminds me of the Underminer from The Incredibles. That's the fucking Underminer, bro. Who is Milo? He sounds familiar. Does Milo like Andre or the Atlantis life preserver girl? Or both? Or neither? That's fine too. Oh, he sounds like Titus. That's because it's James Arnold Taylor. I was like, he reminds me of somebody. My old man? Titus? Like I care. Okay, now I'm all in, actually. Well, there's one guy who really likes bombs. His whole thing is he likes explosions. That's his character trait. He has a big Nick Offerman mustache. but they say Kraken instead of Kraken, which maybe is like the original intended pronunciation, but I like some crack in my Kraken. Let the Kraken have a crack, you know? And the second part is like a Wild West story. There's an old man character who I believe tries to solve his medical woes through the application of bacon grease, and normally you'd see something like that in a cartoon and think, oh, how silly and ridiculous, but it's painfully relatable in 2022. I do not care for the Underminer character. He has big Jacques energy, and he kind of just creeps me out. Don't make fun of my gamer chair, by the way. I wanted a new chair. First thing I found when I Amazon searched was this, and that's just what I went with. And it being in red was somehow cheaper. I know it's very stereotypical, but it's comfy, and I can recline all the way back, so I don't care if it's cringe, it's comfy. I was kind of into the Kraken one, but like all this Wild West shit, like I'm just not into it. I find the Wild West so boring. It's literally a dust bowl, you know? Why would anyone make anything based on cowboys or set in the West after we like realized how cool aliens were? Like, we have video games now, you know? Who cares about cowboys? I like the atmosphere and like the kind of lore and just general feel of the first part, the underwater adventures and the Atlantean shit, and now we're just in like fucking Nevada. Who cares? Pat don't care. You got fucking Doug Dimmadome. Like, I don't even know what's going on. I don't give a shit. I guess they really need the Underminer guy because he just knows stuff, so he has to come along. Because God knows, I would have kicked his ass. I'm not a strong man, but I'm an angry man, and I think the anger would have been enough. What is the accent? Am I being racist accidentally? The gusty, dusty ghost with red-eye sandstorm thing is neat, I guess. And they have like a secret city, Mayan gold city, like a national treasure. Okay, I now know that the purple gator mander is named Obby, and I'm all in on Obby. God, he's so Titus-y. Wake up, Obby! Come on, I want to go back to Xanarkand! I love Titus. Makes me like Milo more, I have to admit. I will give it credit for this. Like, it is a 3-episode structure thing, but it doesn't feel as segmented. Like, it obviously is. It's not one continuous narrative. It's 3 separate things still, but there's like not a title card separating them. The way that it's framed doesn't make it feel so obviously in 3 parts, so it flows a little bit better. I gotta shave. Wait, so Milo is into Kita? I think they just face touched. Okay, Milo. Okay, alright. His name is Mole? He's the fucking Underminer! I didn't know his name was Mole until the 3rd episode. Who named you Mole? Explosion guy is very useful. He doesn't talk a lot. Definitely high up in my party tier list. But nobody beats Obby! Having a lot of trouble following the 3rd episode on 3X. But that's what we signed up for. The Germans are back. And I think they're okay. Oh wait, the Germans get to see Atlantis. Ooh, wait, doesn't this take place like at the turn of the century? I don't know if the Germans should get Atlantean technology at this point in history. Well, that's kind of crazy that the movie ends with Atlantis being revealed to the world, and they use that for a direct to VHS. God, the 3rd episode was just kind of all over the place. I had to read I mean, again, I was watching it on a heightened speed, but the 3rd episode, there's a guy who like thinks that he's Odin, and then he thinks that Milo is Loki, and that Kita is his daughter, and then he creates a snow or a fire monster, or both, or one is defending the world from the other for Ragnarok, but they stop him. You know, I liked it more than I thought I would overall. And again, bear in mind that these are not definitive opinions. This is a punishment for me. This is me paying back after being so generously supported on Patreon. Don't be offended if I don't have a crystal clear understanding or appreciation of your favorite direct-to-VHS movie. I mean, call me basic or lowest common denominator, but if we're gonna like compare the 3-episode structure films that we've watched so far, I'm gonna find the one with krakens and dust ghosts and big fire snow monsters more interesting than Cinderella learns how to be a good princess, or sets up Anastasia on a date, or Beast adopts a bird. Sorry if I'm boring for that, but I think this has to shoot above at least those ones. And it doesn't look great, you know, it looks very much like a TV show again, which is what this was supposed to be, and then I realized that the original movie kind of biffed it. But I like the Atlantean environment. I feel like the 1st and 3rd episodes I definitely found more appealing and fun to watch than the middle one. Yeah, I just wish there was more Atlantis stuff. Like, I don't care about Utah or Nevada. It doesn't interest me. Unless it's Fallout New Vegas, because then we're talking, baby. I guess I put it above all 3 of the 3-episode structural ones and Hunchback. The question is, do I like it more than Pocahontas 2? Probably, to be honest, yeah. It makes me want to watch Atlantis 1, whereas Pocahontas 2 did not make me care about Pocahontas 1 at all. If anything, it made me want to watch it less. I feel like I like Atlantis because I like Treasure Planet so much, and I like the general atmosphere and vibe of some of these Atlantis episodes, so we'll slot it in above Pocahontas 2, but I think below Little Mermaid 2, maybe just because I have more nostalgia for that one, but... Is Return of Jafar too high? Well, it's too late now. No take-backsies. Alright, moving on.
George is getting upset!
The next one is 101 Dalmatians 2, Patch's London Adventure, which is the second movie out of the past 5 or so movies that's called Movie About Dogs 2, Small Dogs Adventure. And they came out within 2 years of each other, based on films that originally came out within 5 or 6 years of each other. I mean, could we just, like, maybe name it something a little different? This one's in London, though, so it's Tuesday, innit? I watched 101 Dalmatians. Again, not a huge, like, 60s, 70s Disney guy, so I don't have a huge attachment to it. I'm guessing it'll be a lot like Scamp's Adventure, and that it's like a cute movie for people who like dogs. I just really want to watch Lion King 1.5, so I'm gonna reward myself, because I remember liking that one a lot. Counting my blessings that there is no Aristocats 2, because I really liked that movie as a kid, and then looking back, I was like, that's really not that very good of a movie, was it? Okay, Patch's London Adventure time. A fun, cute little touch is that during the little the Disney Council part, there's like dogs barking along to it, which I think was pretty cute. Okay, the intro is actually very charming, and it feels more like a movie already than most of these other films. Oh, you know what's neat though, is that the animation style is like pretty reminiscent of the original movie, instead of just like making it like a cheap looking TV cartoon. I'm not saying it looks amazing, but like it totally looks like it's in the spirit of the original, which a lot of these don't feel like. I just saw on the screen that some of the lyrics for the Thunderbolt TV show were cringe and fear, and I really like the idea of cringing in fear. What is going to be the threat to Patch? Besides London, which I assume is probably the final boss of the movie. But Cruella is not going to be back for this, right? I don't see Cruella on here. I think we might be safe from her. These dogs can't all have a good relationship with their parents. Like, some of them are going to get lost in the shuffle. Like, number 47, number 78, like... Wait, Cruella's here! Why aren't you in jail? Apparently Roger's song gets radio play, and her car is shit. I almost feel kind of bad for her. I think they're into each other? Art critic guy and Cruella, I think they're gonna be married. I'm kind of happy for them. Maybe they can just focus on each other and not murdering dogs. Okay, I'm not a fan of Patch asking his dad like a deep existential question, and the dad is clearly Pongo. He's clearly sleeping and sleep talking. He gives Patch an answer he doesn't want to hear, and Patch just like takes it as gospel. It's like if you asked me what I thought of any of these Disney movies while sleep deprived or intoxicated. Like, it doesn't really count. You know, that you gotta roll a mulligan on that one. That's not canon. This whole video is not canon. I love cringing in fear. This is champion! Fucking love the British dogs. It's very nice of the dogs to offer assistance to cats. You would think this would be a racist animal society like our own. God, I keep getting Incredibles vibes from some of these characters, but like Cruella's new boyf is very much like Edna Mode, gender swap. I really like the montage sequence of Patch training with the movie star dog, and there's a song, and it's just jazzy and fun. Like, the vibe of the movie is really fun, you know? It just has more heart and soul than a lot of these other ones. She made them cross-dress to steal a vehicle. You know what? Fuck it. I think I like this movie more than the original. I'm sorry. It's just more fun. It's more fun to watch. It's not boring and slow. I don't care if it's not as artistic or classic. It's not huge high praise. I never thought super highly of the first Dalmatians movie, but there's just like more stuff happening in this one. And that doesn't always necessarily mean it's a good thing. They fucking lowered the nanny into a well. Like, that's hilarious. Cruella's fun. Her weird boyfriend is fun. Patch is a fun, cute little protagonist. There's like a sort of idea of searching for individualism and identity in it. I don't really know what the moral of 101 Dalmatians was, the original. Like, it's bad to kill dogs? I don't remember. Maybe there was one and I don't know, but I feel like there was one character to follow and feel good about, where it's like, I never gave a shit about any of the dogs. I just didn't want them to be skinned and killed. But it's a neat way to approach the property, is like, let's take one of these dogs and have them like have an identity crisis, and he sees this character on a screen who's like a big hero, and then he meets him and he realizes that like he's kind of a doof, and he learns that he is unique and he does have stuff to offer, and he's even better than the movie star guy because the movie star guy is just fluff. Who is the little sidekick dog? He sounds familiar too. Jason Alexander. He's always good wherever he is, and he's the twist little mini villain. Like Cruella's the main villain obviously, but the sidekick dog I actually didn't expect when I was first introduced to him. Obviously I'm never a fan of like the moment where like the two protagonist characters are like not on the same page and you just gotta wait for some bullshit to blow over until you can get back to the story. I don't think anybody really likes that part of a movie. It's just like the thing that you do, but a ton of good movies do it. You just kind of have to sit through it. That's champion. It's absolutely wizard. I might have missed some inner subtleties of Cruella's plan, but I did not expect her to betray Edna Mode, man. We'll call him Ed Mode. Edward Mode. There's 4 Dalmatians in this movie, I've realized, even though it seems like there's 101. There's Pongo, who definitely gets to do more than Perdita, got more Lady and the Tramp syndrome, where Tramp is the guy and Pongo is the guy, but not Lady or Perdita. Sexist movies about dogs for kids. Huh? Then there's Patch, the main one, and then there's the fat dog, which is Rolly. The other ones don't count. They're basically not even real. They're just there to fill screen space. Cruella's willing to just like fucking kill a dog and get blood on her expensive coat. And she's like, yeah, fuck it, I don't care. I like how Jason Alexander dog just sort of aligns with Cruella and the henchmen. Cruella's like, I don't care about that dog. I won't kill that one. He's useful to us. Oh, and now she's going to a mental institute. I'm sure she'll be well taken care of there. The mom dogs in these movies just get absolutely shit on. They really do. Lady and Perdita should join a club and like negotiate together for higher billing in these shindigs because fuck. At least Perdita's not in the title. It's not called Pongo and Perdita 2, Patch's London Adventure. Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I like this movie more than the original. I'm sorry for anybody who like really cherishes the classic 101 Dalmatians from the 60s, but like I'd rather watch this pretty much 9 times out of 10. Just because it's better than the original doesn't mean it's gonna be like at the top of this list, but I'm like genuinely very surprised by how much I enjoyed this. Like I don't want to watch it again, but if I had to pick any of these to rewatch, this is going to be towards the top of the list. Like even the credits, I'm looking at the credits right now and they have more personality and heart put into it than like most of some of these other movies. It's not groundbreaking, it's predictable, even though I was kind of surprised by what happened with some of the characters actually, so maybe not that much. It's cute, but it's not like boring fluff. Like it feels like it's trying to say something and it kind of succeeds. The little musical bits are fun. It feels artistic in spots. Like it feels like people cared about it, I guess, which maybe is a low bar, but god damn it, I'm gonna put it 3rd from the top. It's just pleasant and nice, and maybe just because I was surprised by how not bad I thought it was. Expectations crushed, actually, in a good way. So yeah, not too bad.
Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Hey, I think I see a lucky emblem. So, not really surprised that I really enjoyed Lion King 1.5. The worst thing about it is that it's a misnomer. Lion King 1.5 would imply that it's between 1 and 2, when really it's just running concurrently to 1. So it's really Lion King 1, 2. If you're not familiar, it's basically the story of the first Lion King, but from the perspective of Timon and Pumbaa, mostly Timon. It's really the Timon movie. I mean, it starts out with him. He has the narrative through line that goes all the way through it. And it kind of shows a couple of like retcons and like almost behind the scenes moments of actual things in the movie that Timon and Pumbaa inadvertently influence. Like at the beginning when Rafiki holds up Simba and all the animals bow. It's because Pumbaa farted and it knocked them all out. This is actually something that happens in the film, and so they all collapse. A lot of fart energy in this movie, but in spite of that, it still is a pretty fun time. And it's actually, I think, the funniest one I've watched so far. Between visual gags and like dialogue jokes, I think it's one of the best ones so far. There's this bit when Timon is leaving, because basically he's like a meerkat. As you may know, he is a meerkat. He's like a fuck-up meerkat, though. Like, he's not good at digging tunnels, and he's not good at, like, being afraid of hyenas or something. So he sets off on his own, right, to go and find his Hakuna Matata, which is another retcon is that Rafiki came up with Hakuna Matata and then taught it to Timon. He met Timon early on. But there's this bit when he's leaving, his mom is, like, trying to tell him to, like, make sure to, like, wash behind your ears and call us and don't talk to strangers. And he keeps getting further away, and it becomes harder and harder to hear. And he goes, "Ma, I can't hear you." And it's just very relatable because I feel like mothers, like a universal thing, is that they don't understand the limitations of a conversation. Like they want to carry one on even if there's a major distance or there's several walls and or doors separating one and two conversationalists. So I actually like audibly laughed out loud at a couple parts in the movie, which is a nice change of pace. It's kind of framed in this mystery science theater sort of thing where Timon and Pumbaa are like obscured by shadows and actually watching back the movie that you're usually watching for most of the runtime. But they'll like interrupt it with these fourth wall moments, which I typically like, kind of meta stuff, but I found it kind of annoying and it kind of broke up the pacing a bit too much for my liking. There's like an especially long one in the middle of the movie, but it does kind of pay off in the end when there's this bit of a bunch of other Disney movie characters coming in and also joining them to watch the movie again, which is kind of cute. It also looks good. It's obviously, as I say with all these, not on par with the traditional theatrical releases, but it's not ugly. It feels like it could have had a theatrical release reasonably. There's a couple of songs strewn about the film. Some of them are rehashes. There's like a Hakuna Matata reprise that's kind of bare bones and interrupted halfway through. The tunnel song at the beginning is actually the best one, I would think, but there's really not that many to talk about. It was just a pleasant watch, really. I'm really glad that I had two good ones in a row so far. I could be biased because The Lion King is like my favorite theatrical Disney movie, so maybe I'm just like kind of inclined to weigh things that are based on that property higher, but I think I probably just put this at number 2 behind Lion King 2. Lion King 2, maybe not as funny of a movie, but is more visually kind of appealing and has better songs. So now it's time for Mulan 2.
Want some more?
So it seems like in this movie, Mulan's going to raise an army of child soldiers, which has me very excited, actually. I feel like there's a lot of literal legs to this, so... Oh, never mind. She's teaching them about, like, the sun and the sky through song. Fuck this. I wanted, like, Metal Gear Solid Raiden stuff. Shang has murdered Huns in sword combat, but he's too afraid to say the L word around children. Mulan and Shang can't agree on the wedding details. One wants a band, one wants a DJ. This is the crux of the conflict of the film. And I guess Mushu doesn't want them to get married because when that happens, he's out of a job for some reason. He has to go back to his old guardian role. I kind of missed the details there, but all of the ghosts were excited about his failure, which reminds me of like me when I lose on a patron game night. The Emperor was like very wise in the original movie, and from what I remember, as well as in Cage 2, but he's kind of like a doof in this. Not a doof, but like he's like sending his daughters off on this arranged marriage, on this like kind of dangerous mission. And Mulan's like, hey, wait, that doesn't seem like a good idea. And he's like, anyway, idiot, how about the arranged marriage? Remember that's what we're doing. Did I fucking stutter? A lot of time spent on Yao and his princess girlfriend. Ling is exhausting. There's a sequence that's very actually similar to one from Lion King 1.5 where Mushu tries to like create conflict between Mulan and Shang, and in Lion King 1.5 Timon and Pumbaa tried to like ruin Can You Feel the Love Tonight between Simba and Nala, except it was a lot funnier. The movie does a men don't stop for directions and women are too into maps joke, I guess, which already seems played out enough by ancient China. Yeah, Ling is not likable comedic relief. You kind of have to rely on Mushu for that. But in this movie, Mushu is acting against our protagonist, who we have come to know as a brave and charming individual. So it's like, no one's really funny in this movie. I guess kind of Yao. I just like his voice, though. Not really what he does so much. Mushu does a banger Mulan impression somehow, but Mushu does actually end up succeeding, which creates the forced and boring and annoying conflict. You know, the one that every movie has to have, including Lion King 1.5, which I was annoyed by in that movie. Yeah, Yao's the best. I love Yao. But fucking Ling is just so much. Yeah, fuck Mushu. You stuff him in the bag, don't let him out. He's a bad friend. Oh, wow, it only took us until 59 minutes in for something to happen. Get some Huns here. The Huns are here. I'm rooting for the Huns, actually. I am 100% invested in the Huns. Oh, then Shang dies, which is pretty cool. Oh, what a surprise. He's fine, because he landed in the water and he didn't see a body, and this is a Disney film for direct DVD release. Mulan almost gets married off to some kid who's like doing the Chinese finger trap thing, and he goes, ew, she's so old, which was like the one laugh I got in the movie. It wasn't even apparent to me until the very end of this movie that Shang and Mushu did not know each other. Go figure. That's like the most interesting thing about the movie. I thought I just would have figured that would have been a known quantity. but no. This was nearly a joyless experience. Just really abysmal. There's just nothing happening in this. The best thing I can say is that it doesn't look putrid. That's about it. It's just fucking boring. God, is this movie fucking boring. Even sped up. The songs are lackluster. The plot is... I almost feel ridiculous complaining about the plot. Because it's like, who do you think this was for? You think this was for you? No, obviously not. It's boring, but also annoying. It's both. It's just like forced romantic conflict. It's not even genuine. It's like all happening under false pretenses because of Mushu's meddling. There's so much time spent on the 3 soldier guys and the princesses, which are their romantic counterparts in this film. You're told throughout the movie how dangerous this mission is on. It's basically, you know, the main characters and the princesses are traveling to this arranged marriage to forge an alliance, I think, to defeat the Mongols. Did I say Huns before? I guess there are Huns Mongols? It's 79 minutes, and it just somehow feels like nothing happened. The poster has the audacity to say the epic journey continues, and it really very doesn't. There are like 2 moments of conflict or danger that are presented to you that doesn't involve Mulan and Shang arguing over something that Mushu caused to happen. Some Mongol/Hun warriors show up about an hour into the movie, and then like at the very end, it seems like that Mulan is gonna end up being married off to this emperor's like nerdy little son, and it's like treated with a lot of gravity, but it's like the stakes have only been introduced like 2 minutes ago, so you don't even have time to like really contend with the consequences of this, and then it's solved immediately. It all happens within like 5 minutes at the very end of the movie, and like nobody really changes or evolves in any way. Like Mulan and Shang were always good with each other, and they only seem not good with each other because of Mushu, and Mushu doesn't even grow. Like the whole reason he does any of this stuff trying to get them apart is because if they get married, then he loses his job and he has to go back to like being the gong boy hitting the gong in the early morning for the other spirit ancestor guys. And then at the end, it looks like he's gonna have to like own up to his mistake and go back to his shitty job and pay for him being like a really bad friend. But then I guess at the end, Shang like does this family temple combination thing, which means that Mushu doesn't actually have to go back to his old job. So he learns nothing. Yao was good. I don't really care about the other 2 soldiers or the princesses. Everyone was just annoying and boring, and I'm just glad it's over. Well, it's definitely in the bottom half, but do I like it more than Pocahontas 2? No, definitely not. Yeah, so I'm gonna put it beneath Pocahontas 2, above Belle's Magical World, so 4th from the bottom for Mulan 2. Like, at least it's a movie, but Milo's Return was way more interesting and entertaining, despite it being a 3-episode structure, so sorry Mulan, you deserved better.
God, people are fucking boring.
Next up is Tarzan 2, and I realize I should have probably been doing this since the beginning of the project, but this is kind of a free-form, sort of new way of entertainment presentation, if you ask me. But I think I should be reading, like, the Disney Plus synopses before I get into it. So, before he was king of the jungle, Tarzan was an awkward young kid just trying to fit in. Relatable, we've all been there. When one of his missteps puts his family in jeopardy, Tarzan decides they would be better off without him. See, just from that, I'm like, is it gonna be like, oh, I'm not the same as all the rest, and it's bad to be different, and then you meet some fucking animals and they tell you, actually, it's great, and your differences bring value. It's a good story, just one that you've seen a million times. That being said, I do have hope in Tarzan 2. One of the few things I know about it is that George Carlin voices a curmudgeonly gorilla, and George Carlin's my favorite comedian of all time, so I hope that he does some justice for this movie here. Kerchak's head do be big though. I just remember that Kerchak fucking dies. I played KH1 many more times than I've watched Tarzan at this point, and in my head I'm like, yeah, he makes it out fine, but he gets fucking shot in Tarzan 1, so it's kind of bittersweet to be seeing him again in Tarzan 2, which is a midquel, because Tarzan's a little baby boy the whole time. Yo, Kala got fucking swapped by the branch. Oh no, the protagonist of the sequel is dead in this prequel. Wait a minute. Kerchak's like secretly psyched that Tarzan died. So this is like a new Phil Collins original. Phil Collins? Phil Collin? Is it multiple Collins? It is. I don't know what's wrong with me. Who would be Phil Collin? The idiot. I apologize. Yo, Sabor. He-She is back for vengeance because He-She gets killed in the sequel. Oh, never mind. He's gone. He-She's gone. Is this just like an outcast group of gorillas? Like, why are they not with the big gorilla group in the jungle? Why are they're like the Badlands Zira Simba's Pride version of the gorillas. Where's George Carlin? Show him to me. Oh, there he is. Ew, I just saw like a way too much gorilla ass. So they're just like 3 dumb gorillas who ended up in this rock valley because they It got lost, I guess. So Tarzan tries to learn from Zugor what animal he is, because Zugor is like, you can't be an ape because I'm an ape and you look nothing like me, idiot. Wait, is the dumb family of gorillas, are they the villains? Because I didn't think George Carlin Monkey was the villain. Who else could be the villain at this point? We're like halfway through the movie. Color me surprised. I don't like those Deliverance gorillas. Carlin gets to do some insult comedy towards the end, which is pretty nice. I think Zugor and the Deliverance Mama Gorilla might have a thing. Didn't see it going that way. Yes, I mean, that was cute. You know, it wasn't like outstanding, but it wasn't like offensive or like super boring. It feels like it like flew by. I know I'm watching these on a fast speed, but like it felt like it just wrapped up very quickly. Basic gist of it is that so the whole movie, Tarzan's a little baby boy, and he like, it looks like he dies at the beginning, so everybody, like all the gorillas and Turk and Tantor, they think he's dead, and then he goes and runs off and he meets the Zugor, which is like this mythical kind of Bigfoot-esque gorilla that threatens the area, but really it's just George Carlin like yelling into a rock face to like amplify his voice. And Tarzan's like trying to figure out what he is because he's clearly not an ape, so he like test runs being a bunch of different animals. He's no good at that, so it's like a self-discovery thing. And he decides, hey, I'll just be a Zugor with you, and like him and Zugor bond, and that's really the best part of the movie, is the bond between Tarzan and George Carlin, gorilla, the Zugor. Carlin really is just himself as a monkey. He's actually got some pretty funny moments in here. The stakes don't feel very high, not that they ever tend to very much in these sequels. I mean, probably Lion King 2 is the highest stakes that these movies have had. Maybe that's why I have it ranked so highly. The villains are not very threatening, but they're also like hardly even villains, so there's not a ton of conflict. You have the typical misunderstanding between friends moment where they disagree, and then Zugor comes in and saves the day towards the end. Like the broken promise moment where Tarzan accidentally tells people about where Zugor lives out far into the jungle, and people find it out, or animals find out about it and come in and ruin his sanctuary. And then Tarzan realizes that he's a Tarzan. That's the whole thing. He's little, because they don't realize what humans are. They've never seen or heard of humans. This is an untouched land somehow. I guess Clayton's whole gang and Jane and the professor, they were like the first discoverers of this land somehow. No one knows what a human is. Jealous. But it's sweet, it's harmless, it's entertaining enough, it's not fucking boring like Mulan II was. And George Carlin was a really fun treat in this. I think I'll probably put it right below 101 Dalmatians 2. That one just seemed to be a bit snappier, a bit faster paced, overall more entertaining to watch. I should say, like, I think from this point onward, I'm not even gonna bother talking about the animation quality. I think they're all gonna look pretty standard. But yeah, overall, I mean, this was a nice one. Definitely a nice palate cleanser after Mulan 2. So I'm gonna put it, yeah, 6 from the top. Good job, Tarzan 2.
My teacher says she's tired of trying.
Up next is Lilo and Stitch 2. Stitch has a glitch. There's all sorts of Stitch spin-off sequel movie things. There's the TV show, there's Stitch, exclamation mark, the movie, there's Leroy and Stitch, and then there's Lilo and Stitch 2. I'm guessing this is the most immediate follow-up to Lilo and Stitch. I don't know if this serves as the TV pilot or if that's Stitch the movie, so I don't know what the chronology is here. Hopefully I don't get too confused. My brain's pretty small. Synopsis says, Stitch adapts to life in Hawaii and everything is smooth sailing until he goes haywire and wreaks havoc. Now everyone must rise to the occasion to save their funny friend, all while Lilo prepares for the Big Island Hula Contest. Not super invested in the Big Island Hula Contest, but I've been surprised before. Lilo and Nani are famously, at least in my opinion, the best part of Lilo and Stitch, and Stitch is, you know, for the kids, and I think the sister relationship is kind of the best part when you're older and can appreciate those kind of more real moments. Not exactly expecting this movie to have the heart of the original, but we'll see. Maybe it's gonna be a real cool, glitchy time. I don't know. Yeah, Stitch has just fucking lost it. We're like not even 5 minutes in. He's gone completely nuts. Oh, it was a nightmare. I actually fell for it. I was like, what? Oh, I forgot that Jumba and Pleakley just live with them. Nani's a fucking saint. You know, I don't know how she does it. I complain after a rough Twitch stream, and this lady's raising, like, 3 aliens and a little sister. She's paying all the bills. I'm guessing the ginger girl is the villain of the movie. And Cobra Bubbles shouldn't be bothering them, so I'm guessing we're gonna have to have a fight against Omega Myrtle towards the end of the film. Lilo's mom looks literally just like her. It's not like a case of, wow, you have your mother's eyes. It's like, you have your mother's entire animation sheet. That's you. I love when Lilo kicks the shit out of Myrtle. It's my favorite. I love the mandated fun segment. Nani's like, you're gonna have fun, motherfuckers, and you're gonna like it. The best way for people to have fun is for it to be rigidly structured and mandated. Get some more Elvis segments. I'm grooving. I like that Elvis is like the stand-in for God. Lilo literally says, if you don't give up on Elvis, he won't give up on you. The deification of Elvis is very amusing to me. Lilo's room is really cool. No, Stitch fucking died. The powers of Ohana and tears and flowers brought him back, though, actually. Nice! He was not inside the machine when it said that his energy was back, so I think just being in Ohana brought him back to life, and that's fine. God damn it. I actually thought that was kind of nice. Nothing's gonna match the heart of the first movie, but this one felt like it was trying, you know? Again, when I see these movies that seem like they're at least attempting to build on the legacy of the original, and it seems like an honest effort, I can't help but appreciate and respect it. It very much is like a Stitch-centric movie. It's not as much about Lilo and her relationship with her sister, but there are still threads and undercurrents of that. Lilo is like really trying to prove that she's as good of a hula dancer as her mom was, and she's like kind of racked with self-doubt about being able to do that, and Nani kind of encourages her and lets her know that her mom would be proud of her regardless. And meanwhile, Stitch, so they kind of pull back the curtain and show us that when he was originally being created, his molecules were not charged fully, which might explain, I'm guessing my molecules weren't charged fully, and that's why I'm the way that I am. But basically, this lack of molecular charging causes Stitch to have these outbursts of badness on occasion, and they become more and more frequent, and Jumbo realizes that over a period of time, Stitch will lose all of his energy and just kind of die. So the stakes are pretty immediately established there. And they're pretty big stakes. Obviously, you know it's all gonna work out fine, but it's like, at the end there, it feels a little bit emotional. It seems like they let it linger for a little bit there. That looks like he doesn't pull through. I don't know, there were just like some genuinely fun and funny moments, and I just like all the characters from the original, and they don't feel like they've betrayed anything from the first movie, and it doesn't seem super obnoxious at any points. It still has all of the fun little Elvis interlude moments, which I think are always super charming. Like, I'm trying to think of like a bad thing that I have to say about it, and there's really nothing outwardly bad. It's just like, obviously it's not going to stack up against the original, but I'm not expecting any of these two. So when you put it like that, when you put it that way, like it was just really nice and fun. Am I getting softer on these? Like, I'm looking at the list moving forward, and a lot of these look like fucking clunkers. Like, I am not looking forward to really anything left besides maybe Cinderella 3. I gotta watch Kronk's new Groove next, for fuck's sake, so I could probably afford to be a little bit nice to one of these. And there were just like fun little montages of like Lilo and Stitch trying to like be endowed by Elvis. Stitch like manufactures these nice moments to like get his goodness meter to rise back up because he's been suffering these badness outbreaks. And it's just very cute, and Lilo and Stitch are cute, and Stitch is funny, and Stitch was always my like favorite Disney character as a kid. I actually think I'm gonna put it at number 2, just like between the two Lion King films. It was just pleasant and not boring and not offensive, and there were like stakes to it, and the characters are fun and funny, and I just think it's neat. Yeah.
You're a simp. I'm gonna have to report you back to Cusco.
Kronk's new groove. Ooh, it's gonna be groovy. Kronk cooks up a get-rich-quick scheme to impress his father, but when things go wrong, Kronk kicks into comical gear and discovers the true riches in life are his friends and being true to your groove. I don't have high hopes for this, to be honest. I like Kronk in the original movie. I think Emperor's New Groove is very fun and underrated. I don't know, something about this just stinks from the jump. Oh, the meme comes from this movie. Kronk holding up the card. I guess I had no idea where it did come from, because it wasn't from the original. They really lean into the whole Kronk likes baking thing, which was really just like one scene in the original movie, right? But they like kind of extrapolated on that to be like his entire life's passion. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing, I'm just surprised by it. Ew. Yzma's legs. Oh, I don't like that. Okay, there was a funny joke where Kronk thought that Yzma was coming on to him. That was pretty amusing, actually. Why is Yzma gray? Like, she's a human being, right? Why is she gray? She's very old and pale? Wait, she gets a song? Yzma's just going with, like, the Ursula route with the whole contract rule. Except, unlike Ursula, she's manipulating her own henchmen. Oh, yeah. It's all coming together. A lot of, Kronk Angel and Kronk Devil. I really just want this one to be over. I'm very bored. I can't imagine watching this on 1X. Oh my god, I don't care. The Squirrel Scout, whatever this, I don't care about this. I didn't care about most of the rest of the movie, but I care about this even less. I would speed it up further, but I really wouldn't be able to understand anything happening at that point. But maybe that would be a blessing. Wait a minute, this is a fucking 3-episode thing, isn't it? No one told me. But this is totally like, the first part is the Yzma youth potion, and then it's the Squirrel Scouts, and then I'm guessing I have to sit through another third shitty thing. I'm angry now. Oh. Oh, and now the baby gets, the little kid gets devil angel shoulder things? God. They took a funny bit and they just drove it into the ground. The best part of the movie was probably, shockingly, during the middle portion with Kronk and the lady Scoutmaster. You get to listen to Let's Groove by Earth, Wind, and Fire, a good piece of media in the middle of this very bad and boring one. Oh my god, I forgot, like, Cusco interrupts all the segments as well, and he's very annoying. He's very, very hard to take, and he's only in small doses, and even those doses are too big. Is it almost over? God, there's so much left. And this is the 4th or 5th fucking time we've done the angel devil joke, and it's not funny. It hasn't been funny any of the times they've done it. It's supposed to be like a vehicle for delivering humor, but it's just like, it's like being used in earnest as a plot device almost. Like, it's how Kronk makes actual decisions, and it's never funny. And Kronk is not funny, really, which I hate to say because he's so funny in the original movie, but he's like, it's just annoying and boring and just a lot. How is it still going? Oh my god, with this. They think that the angel devil on the shoulder thing is like the funniest thing in all of comedy. Okay, now I think I get it. The first episode is the Yzma Youth Potion, then the Chipmunk cheer off, and then the third is actually Kronk's father arriving. So they frame the whole movie around Kronk trying to prepare and get his life back together for when his father visits. That's the stakes we're dealing with. His dad coming to visit and his life is not as nice as he thinks it should be. And Kronk puts up this big charade of him having this nice, perfect life. And what a surprise! It all goes bad, and Kronk's dad realizes that Kronk was lying. But guess what? The love between a father and a son is strong. Okay, wow, what a depressing bore of a movie. God, I don't think I can, in good conscience, put it last, but like, I really, really wanted it to be over more than any of the other ones I've watched so far, which has to say something. I mean, it is and it isn't like a 3-episode movie. They hide it a little bit better, but it's still very clearly 3 distinct. It's not acts, it's just stories that happen to tie up at the end. I guess if we're looking for highlights, Yzma being back, Eartha Kitt as Yzma is always fun. She gets a song that actually is kind of fun. I didn't hate that part. There's a couple of earlier gags that I found amusing. I think really the first like 5 to 10 minutes of the movie, that's the best part. It's like before it even gets into the 3-episode thing. But goddamn, I mean, especially the middle with the squirrel chipmunk things, the fucking million times they do the angel devil gag. Kronk is just, he's not good over this large stretch of time. Cusco, when he shows up, is annoying, doing the fourth wall breaks. He's just very obnoxious. All the other characters are unmemorable and unfunny. It really loses steam, especially after Yzma's gone. It's charmless, it's predictable, it's so unlike the original movie, which was kind of breaking the mold a little bit at least, like not being so typically and traditionally Disney. This one really just kind of plays it straight and boring in the most plain way. Even if it were 3 episodes of a TV show, I think even those wouldn't be entertaining. Like, I think you can take some of these episode movies we've watched, and if you were to imagine them as part of a TV show, they might be like enjoyable 20-minute bits. But even if this were like, an Emperor's New Groove had a show that wasn't particularly great, but if there was like a Kronk show and you took these episodes and they were part of the Kronk TV series, even they, I think, would flounder and not be very entertaining. My brain was just mush for most of this. I guess I'm gonna put it above Cinderella 2 and above Hunchback 2 just because it wasn't gross to look at, and there were at least some funny jokes in the beginning, unlike Cinderella 2, which was pretty humorless and boring for most of the runtime. I cannot overstate how much I wanted it to end. I wanted it to be over so badly, and I really have like almost no hope left for anything besides Cinderella 3. Kronk's New Groove, not a good time. Really upset about this. Well, it's Friday night. Well, it's Saturday night, and there's nothing I'd rather do than watch Bambi 2 as I rapidly approach being shit-faced. Return to the forest and join Bambi as he reunites with his father, who must now raise the young fawn on his own. Celebrate the unbreakable bonds of family and the power of friendship. We're all about that here. In this coming-of-age tale, your family will enjoy again and again and again and again and again. And again. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a big Bambi guy. I know it's like a time-honored classic and everything, but it's boring. What do you remember about Bambi besides his mom gets shot, and there are cute animals, that there's Thumper and Flower. What do you remember besides that? I watched it within the past 2 years, and that's all I remember. I know he grows up at some point, and he has antlers, and I think he fights another deer, maybe? That might be the third thing that I remember about Bambi. But really, like, it's just, you're kind of appreciating it for the animation of the time. It's not necessarily something that's super entertaining or even really that deep. Bambi 2, at least he's cute baby Bambi the whole time, so maybe there's something to that. Jesus, it really literally starts off with his mom's dead. That's how it starts. You don't hear or see the gunshot or anything, but it literally starts with Bambi going, "Mother, mother," and his dad going, "She's fucking dead." Do you think, like, the people who saw Bambi when they were kids, do you think they were pumped when Bambi 2 came out? Do you think it just flew off the shelves? A prince does not woohoo. Just frankly bullshit. If I were a prince, I'd be woohooing all the time. Like, both saying woohoo and woohooing, like The Sims. I'm guessing the movie's gonna be about the bond between Bambi and his dad, which a lot of movies in this project have been about father-son relationships between Aladdin and his dad. You kind of got like something going on there with Tarzan and Zugor. It's kind of a father-son relationship. Patch and Pongo, Kronk and his dad. It was bad, but it counted. Max and Goofy. A lot of these are like father-son stories. I wonder if there were a lot of daddy issues at the Disney Animation Studios. And the Groundhog said gay. There's an antagonistic teen deer named Rano, who I don't care for. Bambi hearing his dead mom? It's dark, Bambi 2. One of man's tricks is replicating Bambi's dead mother's deer voice? How would a man know to do that? Sounds fake. Fuck this evil teen deer. Yo, Thumper just fucking pushed his ass. I like that. Bambi's dad is boring. He's like Mufasa, but he's just like a boring bitch. Oh, so Bambi's dad has antiquated views of fatherhood, basically. He's like, I should only be the disciplinarian. I cannot provide nurturing qualities to my child. That's what a mother is for. So he's like trying to send him off to some mother deer commune. I fucking hate Rano. A prince does not die, Bambi. That's very unprincely. So that was fine. I mean, it wasn't like super exciting, but it also wasn't annoying, you know? It was pleasant enough. It was fine to look at. I assume it's for like young kids, you know, like I've not been the target demographic for any of these films, but especially not this one. Bambi's mom is dead. He's hanging out with his dad. His dad's trying to teach him how to be Prince of the Forest. There's some shenanigans. Eventually, Bambi's dad tries to send him away to live with other mother deer who is friends with Bambi's mom because Bambi's dad doesn't know how to be a dad. And then there's like a conflict at the end, and it looks like Bambi's dead, but oh no, he's alive, and Bambi's dad is so glad, and they get along, and it's great. And there's a couple of boring songs, and they do boring cutesy animal stuff. It kind of flew, and I was just thankful that it didn't seem to drag, and I didn't feel super annoyed. It was totally inoffensive. You never need to watch it. No one ever needs to watch this. May I be so bold? Even though I said it was fine, I think I'd rather watch a good handful of other ones besides this one. I was just kind of, you know, just going through the motions on this one. There's really not a ton to say. When I'm presented with the premise of Bambi 2, I'm like, okay, so it's gonna be cute animal stuff for like 60-70 minutes, and that's basically exactly what it is. Bambi's cute, Thumper's fun, but I'm probably gonna put it like one slot above Pocahontas 2, one slot below Milo's Return. I can't believe Milo's Return is doing as well as it is, but I was like really into the Kraken part. It's not bad. I can't call it bad. I wouldn't call it good either. It's fine. But I guess I have it beneath some bad movies. But those bad movies, I feel like I leave those movies with more. Whereas I didn't really leave Bambi 2 with anything. I didn't really leave Bambi 1 with anything. I'm not a big Bambi guy, but what can you do? You can't fix anything about that. You can't change that. So Bambi 2, that's another one in the books.
I am a bear. I have bear powers.
Brother Bear 2. Kenai takes an exciting adventure he never dreamed of before his transformation into a bear by the great spirits, but as he travels the Pacific Northwest at the end of the Ice Age, he's haunted by dreams of his previous life. How does Brother Bear end? He's still a bear at the end, right? I'm already bored by the premise. See that? I have boredom in my eye. Oh, yeah, I think they say call a doctor if you have that much boredom in your eyes. Okay, well, I'm gonna watch this now. Couldn't get Phil Collins for this one. I don't know if anyone else is thinking about this, but like Kenai turns into a bear. Does he have to have the lifespan of a bear? Like, did he basically lose like most of his life? Because bears obviously don't live as long as humans. So that's a raw deal. I mean, being a bear in and of itself, it doesn't seem great, but that's also like a huge cut in your life expectancy. I want mozzarella sticks. Boring fucking music numbers. Coda doesn't like how well Kenai and Nita get along. That's like the main conflict of the movie so far. They're trying to get Nita to some place so she can burn an amulet so she's allowed to marry some guy. Kenai used to be human and he used to know this girl. She's still a human, he's a bear. The moose just seem to follow them? Like, why are the moose always around? Unless they're also going towards the site of the amulet burning. I gotta say, I really don't care about any of this. Not that I cared about Bambi either, but for some reason, I just didn't feel as uninvested in it. I mean, I guess it's because I always found Kenai kind of boring and Coda to be annoying, and I don't know this new lady, but at least baby Bambi was cute. You know, and Thumper and Flower were fun and cute. I guess I'm supposed to think Coda's cute, but he's just always an annoying, depressing bore, and I'm not apologetic about that. So when she burns the amulet, she can't understand bears anymore. So they're talking like normal. She can communicate with the bears. But after the amulet's burned, she tries to talk to Coda, and he goes, "Bah." And Kenai goes, "Bah," and she goes, "Oh fuck, never mind." Wait, Coda can talk to his mom through Aurora Borealis? No, but she doesn't actually say anything. It's again like Mufasa, but lame. Is it over yet? I hope Kita leaves her human husband for the bear. I guess that's what I'm supposed to be rooting for. At least there's stuff happening. Ow, my leg fell asleep. It's not boring, but it's annoying. It's more annoying than Bambi. And they're both, you know, similar in atmosphere and environment. Like, it's just, I'm just very bored by movies that are like, the whole thing is like nature, you know? I'm not anti-nature. I don't find that there's a ton of fun to be had in nature. Bambi, Brother Bear, like, it's just, here's some animals in the forest. Like, the forest is fucking boring. It's like Cowboys, to go back to that. Like, we could be in space right now. I know that's a very juvenile and attention deficit way of you know, approaching these kinds of atmospheres and environments, but it doesn't grab me, and this kind of stuff is always not going to do well with me, and I'm just being honest. It's my ranking. And the human stuff is boring. I like the Wanda Sykes grandma character. She was kind of fun, but she's hardly in it. But I don't necessarily like the animal stuff either. I wasn't really a big Brother Bear 1 guy, so I was never going to be a huge fan of this. But there were some neat scenes, like the ending with the Aurora Borealis and the big bear face in the sky. It's genuinely kind of pretty. And then the lady, Nita, turns into a bear. And fuck it, everyone should be a bear, I guess, is the moral of the Brother Bear extended universe. Everyone should be a bear. You're happier that way. It seems like that's the end game for everybody, is becoming a bear. It's clearly not that hard to do. 2 people have done it within like a year. I guess I put it like 1 spot below Bambi, maybe 1 spot above Bambi. The songs are boring. It's such a nothing to me. I guess I'm gonna slot it 1 below Bambi 2, but 1 above Pocahontas 2. I have like all of these movies that are set in like the nature of America very low. Whatever, I don't care. You know what I've noticed, by the way, is that they stopped using the Roman numerals. Like, all of them, anything with 2 in the title was I, but now I think ever since Lilo and Stitch 2, it's been the Arabic numerals. Maybe because they're like, these movies aren't good enough to necessitate fancy numerals. It's just very weird and inconsistent and annoying. I feel like Brother Bear 2 is too high, but I do easily forget how annoying and bad some of the other ones were.
'Cause I'm a total fucking country boy.
Fox and the Hound 2. Todd and Copper still go together like an itch and a scratch, but when Copper gets a shot at the big time with a nutty group of hound dog howlers, their purebred friendship is put to the test. Fuck me. Copper pisses on the floor, still confirmed. God, there's just too many fucking dog movies, you know? Like, this is the third dog movie I've watched, and I don't have anything against dogs. I'm more of a cat person than a dog person, but I have dogs. I like dogs. I'm just fucking sick of watching them. The dogs all blend together. They're all the same dog characters. These ones are country singers, which doesn't go a long way in making me give a shit at all about what they're doing. Like, who needed this? Who asked for this? Fox and the Hound came out in like 81, and the world waited with bated breath until the mid-2000s to get Fox and the Hound 2, in which Copper joins a band. Like, who came up with the idea? Who wanted it? Who cares? I know I'm being a curmudgeon and I'm 25 years old. These aren't for me. But like, you know, I watched Coco, I watched Encanto, I watched Soul. They're good quality animations that are probably mostly intended for children, but still have something to say and are entertaining for adults. And I know they had like fucking quintuple the budget that this probably had, but just why? I mean, how much money did Fox and the Hound 2 really make? I'm sure I could figure it out, but like, I almost don't even want to know. I mean, was it really such a household name in the mid-2000s that it really demanded like a cheap ripoff of a sequel? Like, I had it on VHS as a kid. I watched it a couple of times, but I wasn't clamoring for more Fox and the Hound goodness. I really would not like being called the Widow Tweed. Like, if I were married and my wife died, I would really not like it if people called me the Widower Pat. Like, every time I was being referred to. Dead wife Pat. Your wife is dead, Pat. That's your name, basically. I don't care for that. I miss Lilo and Stitch. That was a good dog movie. Stitch is a good boy. Well, this was pretty needless. Basic synopsis: Todd and Copper, the titular Fox and Hound, they are friends. They are still little baby Fox and Hound during this whole movie, which is good because, like Bambi, the movie is best when they're cute kid versions, I think. I always enjoyed the movie as a kid better when they were in the first half. There's a county fair that's in town, and they go to the fair, and Copper gets recruited by a gang of country singing dogs, and there's like a lot of pressure for these dogs to succeed. Todd fucks it up for them, and Copper fucks up. They only accept stray dogs into the group, and Copper is not a stray, and Todd lies about him being a stray, so that creates conflict within the band when they figure out that he's actually owned by a human being. There's like intra-band subterfuge between the dogs. There's like a Reba McEntire dog who's like trying to keep Copper out of the band, but she's also in love with Cash, the leader of the band, which is Patrick Swayze dog. I couldn't care about any of that. And then the whole movie is, you know what it's going to be as soon as Copper gets invited to the band, is there's going to be conflict between the two friends, and, you know, he cares more about the band than his friend, and Reba McEntire dog is, like, manipulating Todd to ruin Copper's spot in the band because she feels shown up by him, and it's like, who cares? Who gives a shit? I don't like any of these fucking movies that take place in bumblefuck rural America, and I live there, you know, so it's fine, I can say that. I don't care about any of these fucking movies about dogs or animals in shitty America. I don't care. And I was saying earlier, like, oh, this movie's not for me, it's for kids. But, like, you know what? This movie would never have been for me even if I was a kid. I know 10-year-old me, 8-year-old me would not have given a shit about this because it's fucking country singing dogs, and it doesn't do anything for the first movie. It doesn't invalidate it, but, like, it's so needless. It didn't need to happen, and nothing changes about how you view the first movie. You don't watch Fox and the Hound 1 again with a whole new perspective on this little chapter, this little sliver of their life when they were kids and there was this stupid country fair band that no one could possibly give a shit about. It's like what I said about all the other dog movies in this project. Like, if you like cute dogs and shit like that, then great, here's something to put on for 70 minutes without credits, I think. I'm just trying to figure out how low this goes. It really felt less profound than Brother Bear 2, if you could believe it, and I really wanted that movie to end a lot, but I also really wanted this movie to end, and this was interspersed with, like, boring country songs, which it was never going to appeal to me. At no age, at no place in my life would this have ever meant anything to me at all beyond this is something I gotta sit through for a YouTube project. It does feel like one of the more soulless, like, cash grabby sequels in this bunch. Like, what if there was a band that one of the characters wanted to join and they were like singing dogs? Like, fucking A+, Nobel Prize for film, if that's a thing. It's not. I guess that would be like an Oscar. I'm not even really sure how or why the conflict gets resolved, because the band breaks up, but then Todd and Copper, like, trick Cash and Dixie, the Reba McEntire and Patrick Swayze dog, into meeting up, and they're like, hey, it's actually important to not be fighting. And they're like, oh, right. And then they sing a song. and it ends. It's just fuck this. I mean, it's gonna go below Brother Bear 2. It's gonna go below Pocahontas 2. It's gonna go below Mulan 2. I don't think I can, in good conscience, put it below Beauty and the Beast, Belle's Magical World. So 5th from the bottom, Fox and the Hound 2, because it just shouldn't exist. None of these really should or need to exist, but this one especially just has no business existing, I think, so. Alright, after that fucking yeehaw nonsense, I've arrived at Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time. I've heard a lot of praise for this one, actually, so I do have, like, high-ish hopes for it. Princess Cinderella is living a perfect life until her stepmother steals the fairy godmother's magic wand and turns back time. Already, I'm more hooked in on this than most of everything else that I've watched. Like, that, as a premise, is already way more interesting than fucking, well, good old Fox and the Hound, they're the good dirt with the banjo and the band, and it's more hootenanny than a country day. It's like, who gives a shit? But this, I'm hooked. With a wicked spell, she erases the prince's memories and shatters Cinderella's happily ever after. I'm in. I'm all in. Let's watch Cinderella 3. I can't believe I said that with so much earnest gusto, but I mean it. Oh, this has, like, the good Disney opening. Like, this is the first one with, like, the whole nice-ass looking CGI castle, so opening song was actually kind of fun. A bunch of different characters got to sing from different perspectives. Oh my god, Goosifer. She turned the cat into Goosifer. I know that they're voiced by the same person nowadays, but, like, Lady Tremaine gives off a lot of Maleficent energy just within the first, like, 5 minutes of the movie. She basically might as well be Maleficent, but with, like, a gray perm or whatever she's rocking there. I like the part when the lady with the broom tries to kill Jacques. I really like that. Lady Tremaine with the wand is just a fucking menace. I mean, she's dangerous. I don't know if I'm just making this up or something, but it feels like Cinderella and Prince Charming's faces, they're like different than the other characters' faces. And I'm sure that might have to do with like how they animate, like if they're using like a real life model and drawing based off of that, like I'm sure they did with the originals. That's the only thing visually that kind of is weird and sticks out, is that like everyone has like a normal painted on face, but him and her, they're like a little too real at points. It's actually fascinating that there's like a chain of meanness established throughout the 3 Cinderella movies, with Cinderella at the bottom receiving all of the meanness, Anastasia directly above her, and it's kind of revealed that Drizella is above Anastasia in the pecking order, with of course Tremaine at the top. That's the chain of screaming, to put it into like a How I Met Your Mother reference. What is Tremaine's end game? That's what I want to know. Like, to have rich daughters, right? There's got to be more. We could have just told Prince Charming, like, way early on that he was under a spell through a mouse song. I feel like we went through a lot of extra steps to get here. I did know that Prince Charming would jump out of a window at some point, and it lived up. I like that. Oh no, they're sending Cinderella off to be in Pocahontas 3. Okay, it's really funny that the prince thinks her name is Cinderella after the spell wears off, because the mice are the ones who explain that to him, the whole story, so he just thinks that that's her name. Oh my god. Doppelganger powers. Oh my god, she teleported her into a pumpkin. That's like this movie's version of like the dress sequence from the first movie. Is that how it works? You know it's love when you touch someone's hands? Might have to call bullshit on that one. Okay, you know what? That was kind of nice. It was basically as nice as I thought it was gonna be. Even a bit more nice. I mean, maybe this is a hot take, but like, everything just seemed to be a little bit more interesting and fun than both of the other Cinderellas, including the first one from 1950. Here's the thing. Obviously, it's not as cinematic or, like, beautiful or, like, artful as the first one, but, like, it's kind of like the 101 Dalmatians thing, where it's like, I think I'd rather watch this. All the characters are more fun and have more depth in a way. I mean, Cinderella, Prince Charming, the stepsisters, Lady Tremaine, she's a terror throughout this whole movie. It's like, it's honestly fun to watch. Jacques and Gus barely in this thing. Great. I mean, even the king has more stuff to do and say. Prince Charming is like a goofball and he's funny, and Cinderella's got a bit more to her. Like, she just feels like more of a human being and less of like a caricature of a Disney princess, which I know it's weird to say because like she is like one of the base models of Disney princess, but they like expanded on her a little bit, and they kind of even take the piss out of how, you know, picturesque everything was in the first movie. Basic premise is pretty much exactly what you get on the tin when you read the synopsis on Disney Plus, but Lady Tremaine gets a hold of the magic wand. She turns back time, makes it so Anastasia is in Cinderella's place, and all sorts of magical hijinks ensue. You get to see like certain scenes from the original movie like kind of be riffed on a bit, especially like the glass slipper shoe fitting scene from the first movie. And Cinderella and Prince Charming basically have to like fall back in love again, except this time they like have more time to like get to know each other a bit. It doesn't feel like a waste of potential, basically. It doesn't feel feel like soulless and charmless. It feels like someone really liked Cinderella and made a fun little follow-up with a premise that was like interesting and like had stakes immediately established in the first couple of minutes of the movie. And this is like the canon ending for the Cinderella saga, because they don't like reverse things so they're back to normal. They just like get back to where they were emotionally and they kind of continue on from that point. So it doesn't feel like pointless. It feels like they took the first movie and they kind of injected a bit more depth into it, which is crazy to say about a Disney sequel, but like I'm very impressed with what this one was able to do. Or maybe it's just because I just watched Fox and the Hound 2 and anything is gonna look like a masterpiece after that. You know, it's even got some of like that creepy, like early Disney charm. Like I thought the sequence where Cinderella gets like tossed into this pumpkin and like Lucifer turns to like this creepy carriage driver, like that was like some, like not nearly as scary as like some of the shit out of Pinocchio or like Bambi's mom dying, but like it harkened back to that kind of weird, threatening Disney air, like Snow White in the trees kind of stuff. I don't know, maybe I'm easy to please at this point, but I think I'm gonna slot it in at number 2 overall, above Lilo and Stitch 2, just one notch below Lion King 2. I think if we're just looking at like how well does this build upon the original, it might even be the best one in that regard, because like I like the setting and the characters of Lion King more, but if we're just talking about like fleshing out the extended Cinderella universe, I guess, I think this one does more than well. So yeah, I'm happy to slot that in at number 2.
A musical for everyone to have a lot of finny fun.
Alright, we've finally arrived at 2008's The Little Mermaid Ariel's beginning. Long before Prince Eric, music was banned from the underwater kingdom of Atlantica. Torn between family duty and her love for music, young Ariel must make the most difficult choice of her life. So it's Footloose, right? I have an hour and 20 minutes of underwater Footloose to get ready for. You can just tell from the synopsis, right? Like I was hooked by the whole Lady Tremaine getting the magic wand thing, but like music was banned from Atlantica. Like I already don't give a shit. Ariel's mom is just Ariel with like 2 little wrinkles underneath her eyes. That's the only change, I think. Her hair might be a little less red. Maybe that's 2 things that are different. There's a governess in Atlantica? Ooh, I do not care about Lana Marina Del Rey. I know Ursula's not dead yet because it's a prequel, but she's probably rolling over in her watery grave. I think even Morgana might be. After this Lana Del Marina Rey song, I have no interest at all in this person as a villain. She just like hates her job and wants a better job. Like, get in line, lady. Okay, I do like the idea of like the underwater speakeasy. That's fun, but it's for music instead of alcohol. Well, this is the only time my internet has stopped working while watching one of these movies, so that can't be a good sign. Well, that makes 2 of us, internet. I don't want to watch this either. They did an Attica prison riot joke in this movie, which I was not expecting. That was not on my Little Mermaid 3 bingo card. That's gotten the most emotion out of me 45 minutes into the movie, so... Am I supposed to know the names of any of these aquatic folk? What is Ursula doing during all of this? Does she take Marina Del Lana's place? Wasn't the lore that she was like in Triton's kingdom and she got banished? Was she already banished at this point? Is she just like irrelevant? Because she's alive. This is a prequel. I just realized this like, I don't know, 55 minutes in. Ariel fell to the bottom of an undersea gorge. Well, once again, I think the word of the hour, or the word of the project, is needless. As a prequel, as an addition to the Little Mermaid canon, as a movie, this just didn't need to happen. It's just a story you've seen a million times. Like I said, it's Footloose. It's that episode of Avatar. Sometime in the past, King Triton and Queen Athena, they ruled Atlantica in harmony. King Triton gives the queen a music box, but then pirates show up and they murder Queen Athena because she went back to get the music box. So King Triton like super overreacts and says, okay, no music box, no more music. This is a musicless society now, which would be like if you're like the ruler of a country and like your wife dies in a car crash, that means cars are banned forever. But Ariel and all of her sisters love music, and actually everyone secretly loves music. Really, King Triton is just a big dumbass, and the whole movie is just like going through this roundabout way to convince King Triton that he's an idiot. It just feels dumb. Like, I guess like the whole movie was probably pitched as like a way to explain why Ariel doesn't have a mother, I guess, and they just went with this music route. But like nothing about the movie had to take place in the Little Mermaid universe. You know, like with Cinderella 3, it's like you couldn't really do that story with any of these other properties, or at least not as well, because like it necessitates Lady Tremaine like getting a hold of this object that could like vastly change the reality of the universe. But like you could have done Footloose in any of these. Like you could have done Footloose with Fox and the Hound. You could have had it so Todd and Copper, they'd go and play out in the bumblefuck meadows and music was banned because of a grumpy old porcupine, and they discover the true meaning of friendship and that music is fun. You could do this anywhere. I will say, like, it strikingly looks pretty nice. It's one of the nicer looking ones so far. No, wait, I say so far, but it's over. It's one of the nicest looking ones in the project, and I don't have to watch it anymore. The characters are still fun. Like, I like the cast of The Little Mermaid, except for King Trajan. As I mentioned, he's a big dumb doof. But, like, Sebastian's fun, Ariel's fun, the sisters, all the 6 other sisters, they get, like, stuff to do and things to say. You don't come out of the movie knowing what any of their names are or, like, having any idea of what their own personalities are, but, like, at least they get to participate, I guess. For a movie that's so concerned with music, the songs kind of suck. They're not very memorable, but I didn't feel annoyed throughout it. That goes a long way with me, because I feel so super annoyed by a lot of these movies, and this one didn't annoy me. I was just kind of like out on the premise from the start. I was just like uninvested, I guess, which maybe is worse. Maybe feeling uninvested or bored is worse than feeling annoyed. At least annoyed is like a feeling, but I think I'd rather be bored than annoyed, if I'm being honest. Being bored is not bad for your blood pressure, or it doesn't wear on your patience so much. Again, with these prequel movies, like, it doesn't make you look at the original differently. It doesn't really explain anything outside of Ariel's mom is dead, which you kind of just assumed. It doesn't do anything with, like, the idea of Ursula being in the kingdom at the time. I kind of had some hope that she would be involved in some way, because Pat Carroll was and is still around, so, like, you would think they maybe could have done something like that. But no, we'll just sing and dance underwater. I like the idea of, like, a secret underwater music speakeasy. That's, like, the most fun part of the movie, I would say. But I didn't learn anything about the characters. None of them, like, got any deeper or more fleshed out. So again, a bit cash grabby in nature, just has that icky sort of feeling, but it does look nice. It looks nice at least. So it is fittingly a bit of a wet fart to end on, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I guess I have to put it kind of high, huh? I'd rather watch Little Mermaid 2, I know that. I think I'd also rather watch Atlantis Milo's Return, but I definitely would rather watch this than Bambi 2, I think. So right above Bambi 2, we're slotting in the last direct-to-DVD, VHS, Disney movie under these specific parameters. Little Mermaid 3 or 0, whatever. Ariel's beginning, right in the middle. At least now we know how Ariel began. Badly. That's it, we did it. I just have to edit the whole thing now, but it's over. I don't have to watch any more films. Once again, thank you for helping me reach 100 patrons. It's really been a joy doing this for as long as I have, and I hope to keep doing it for as long as possible. Check out my Patreon if you'd be interested in also pledging. I think at 150 patrons, I want to do something dedicated to Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2. I don't know what, but it'll be a video all about that. So that's my plan, and just thank you for sticking with me throughout this bad time. All right, take it easy. Bye-bye.